Right, in the video, I'm going to say that this is episode 5. It's actually not. It's episode 3 because we're on a long actual release. So
this is great.
Hi guys.
So enjoy.
Right, guys, welcome to episode 5 of the M&MH podcast. We are joined with Mr. Sean Duggan. How are we?
What a guan. How you doing?
Very good, mate. Very, very good. It's been years.
Yeah, it's been two years.
Easily.
The last time I saw you guys was before the apocalypse.
It was.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was.
Well,
It's a great
before.
show as well.
It's probably well before it as well.
I don't know, man. I look back at the videos of that show and I was thinking, what am I doing?
I've followed you since.
Playing guitar like fucking Kurt Cobain.
No, it was
Loud.
solid, man. It was solid.
I just wanted us to be the loudest thing ever, and I think we kind of nearly got there.
You were.
I can't remember who else was on the bill.
It was Red Rum. No, that was Alex Owen, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You didn't support Red Rum Club, did you?
No, we were headlining. I didn't sell any tickets, and we didn't even turn up with the drum kit like we're supposed to, because I was like,
Mate, you sold 2, bro. That's all, man.
yeah,
And Mark was there
it.
as well.
But the thing is, people kept rolling up and was like, "Oh, we got a guest list and free beers." Because I kept going downstairs and going, "I'll put you on a guest list." So everyone I brought upstairs,
Didn't play.
like they didn't pay really. Like they just, yeah, I'll put you on, and I'd taken.
And you haven't been booked since.
Well, yeah, they weren't very happy with me about it really. So.
Right, we'll go back to the earliest days. This is usually what you do.
Yeah,
I'll
man.
let you
This
do
is
it.
my realm. So, have you got the first time you remember music? Like, the first thing you
Like,
heard that pricked your ear? Or?
The first everything. I mean, I know like one story that's kind of, that I suppose it plays a big part in it, and that's that the Jagged Little Pill album by Alanis Morissette
Okay.
with Ironic,
Yeah.
which ironically isn't very ironic. If you listen to the
Right.
lyrics, it's just unfortunate. It should be called Unfortunate. But that song, I had it on repeat on a cassette. I was like a 2-year-old, and my dad had to like. I can't remember if he smashed it up or if he.
I don't think that's
Threw
a
it
bad
away.
way to start. Yeah.
But that was it.
I mean, it's not great. But
For me, it was my brother. My brother was a musician, and he was into music, but a lot more than I was at a younger age.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm going to start with him actually, because he
Yeah.
used to like put Queen videos on when he was 2 and that, and I wasn't interested in that.
Yeah.
Like,
Is he
I
older
was-
than you then?
Yeah, not like by 9 years I think,
Mm.
like 8.5, something like that. And that happens throughout my family, to be honest. But yeah, I remember he was always into music. My dad was into hi-fi, so our living room actually has like the square panels on the ceiling
Nice.
for the resonance
Yeah.
of the sound. And fucking hell, I need to have some drink.
You get dried up quick, don't you?
Yeah.
You don't
It's
really.
the pressure of entertaining, man.
You're not marking a little bit.
yeah, man. And I'm a bit bunged up as well. But I remember just being surrounded by music, so it's good sound all the time.
Yeah.
And I really believe that if you've got like good sound around, and say you've got a pregnant missus, I reckon that goes in, like, because they absorb
Yeah.
vibrations, don't they? So I think that plays a part. So probably from when I was in the womb, but I'm rambling, proper rambling. I'm nervous,
Sorry.
you know.
It's
No,
a
I haven't been
podcast.
nervous in a long time.
It's a podcast.
Yeah.
But
Just here to chill.
Breathe.
But the biggest one was Johnny Cash, getting the best of Johnny Cash, and I'd just been playing Zelda all day, and my dad put it on.
You love
And
Zelda, didn't
I
you?
love Ocarina of Time. That's how I learned how to read.
No way.
Yeah, my dad taught me how to read through that game, and that put me in love with just writing and wanting to write, and I wanted to write stories. So I used to go to school, and no matter what class I was in, I was always writing stories when I wasn't supposed to. I was quite ostracised at school, so
So you've always been quite creative.
yeah, so I've been creative since day one. But the big three for me was there was a Smiths best of, and the reason I loved it so much was so ridiculous. It wasn't because of the music, really. It was because there was one. It was the best of the Smiths, and it was a woman smoking a cigarette on the front, and then it was volume
That
one,
enticed you, like.
and then volume 2 was a bloke smoking a cigarette, and when you put them together, they made like one whole image. I was like, wow!
Yeah.
But then I listened to the first one, and it blew me away. And I was very much, especially with, because I've told you before, I got the ADHD thing.
Yeah.
Very obsessive, so I'd be playing it until the next thing would come along. So
Yeah.
I'd just know it off the top of my head. But the next thing was the Travelling Wilburys, which is a super group with Tom Petty, Bob Dylan, Jeff Lynne, Roy Orbison, and George Harrison.
Yeah.
So that's a mega starter.
Yeah.
All these great songwriters on one album. Obsessed with it. And then it was Elvis. You know, Elvis is probably the one that did it for me, man.
Really?
50-50's Elvis. My dad was a big, massive Elvis fan. It's just a music fan in general. But this Elvis record, like, had all of his recordings from the 50s. Like, every
So
single
how
one
old
of
was you
them.
here? 5, 6?
I was about 8 or 9.
Okay.
Well, I was about 7. And I was obsessed with Elvis. I was obsessed with the music. I wanted to perform all the time. But I was always... it was like a comfort to go and listen to the music because my school didn't get me at the time.
Yeah.
The way adults treated me as a child, and a lot of people don't touch on this. I said this to someone earlier when I comment on Facebook. I said what people don't realise is that our parents were talking about the cane all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, if I said that at school, I'd get the cane.
Yeah.
You know, for us though, it was just the physical abuse that was taken away from school. The mental and emotional abuse was 100% still there.
Yeah, because I really want to get to know about your ADHD because I don't know much about it because I've never been around someone that's suffered
It's quite
with
bizarre, really.
Because obviously you just mentioned there that because of it, if you found music that you loved, you'd play it on repeat.
Yeah, like
so your
obsessive.
attention is there for stuff that you love then, but
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
not for things that you don't care
So with
for.
ADHD, basically, okay, I'm just gonna get it's science time with Sean Duggan.
Yeah, man.
With
I wanna know
ADHD,
about it,
there are three essential chemicals in the human brain. There's more obviously, but let's focus on you've got serotonin, which we all know about because of the big surge of antidepressants, right? You got dopamine, you got norepinephrine, but the focus for ADHD is dopamine. Dopamine is what gets released when you have a sandwich and you feel satisfied.
Yeah.
Right. With ADHD, your dopamine levels are so low that you constantly need to keep bumping it up,
so it's
keep bumping it up,
constant
bumping it,
stimulation.
bumping
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
bumping it up, right? Which is why they prescribe amphetamines and
Yeah.
things like that, and Ritalin, because that dopamine, it's constantly going boom, boom.
Mm.
So no matter how good you get at something, no matter how satisfied you are with something, you're never satisfied with it. A good way of summing up ADHD is that you're constantly looking for something to really grab your attention, and
A bit of a kick,
but it never happens really. The best way to describe it, especially in childhood, because apparently there's loads of different scientific debates about whether or not it gets easier. It has never gotten easier for me, really. A good way of summing ADHD up, and this is my belief from all my research into the brain chemistry and everything, is that it is basically exactly the same as bipolar.
Yeah.
Because I tried to get diagnosed with bipolar, and I did eventually from a professional therapist that was hired by, ironically enough, the uni, and she strongly believed I had bipolar because I told her why, and the reason being is they're very similar.
Yeah.
If you're under an ADHD team when you get diagnosed, they won't try and bother diagnosing me with bipolar because
they're there to diagnose ADHD.
because they're there to diagnose ADHD, and they don't want to put you under too many different teams. But they're basically the same thing. So if you think of bipolar and think of ADHD, they're one and the same.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the time, ADHD is misdiagnosed and it's actually bipolar, and vice versa.
Was you diagnosed young then?
I was diagnosed because my mum fought for it, so I was diagnosed at 10.
Yeah.
But
Was you like what people would deem as like naughty at school?
I was
like,
extraordinarily naughty
Yeah.
kid. I was very on his own kind of child as well. But I was treated horrifically by the school I went to, like horrifically ostracised, you know, singled out, you know, sent home. I was sent home at one point. I was doing 1.5 hours of school a day.
Yeah.
That was at the end. But by year 5 in primary school, they were giving me 2 hours at school and then sending me home for my lunch. What they'd do is give me a brown paper bag with an apple and a cheese sandwich in it, and I'd have to walk back home for no reason to eat it, and then come back because I was no longer allowed in the playground.
Did you just they just didn't want you in the playground?
Yeah, so they didn't want me in the playground. Bear in mind, I'm a 9-year-old child at this
of
point.
Of course, yeah.
Not only that,
Where you make friends. And
but the
learn
reason
how to
why I
social.
was going home on my own was because my mother was ill. She was severely ill, mentally. She had a mental breakdown, like a severe one, and I was very much attached to my mother, and she was doing all this, trying to fight to get me diagnosed, and it kind of sent her crazy. You know, at one point the school got like this wagman in, and tried to corner her, and luckily he had a wife with similar symptoms to my mother, and he was like, "This woman's ill. I'm done here," you know.
Yeah.
And then he gave her the links that helped. But you know, that was a traumatic experience. We'll talk about that a bit later.
Because people talk about that, like, you know, like 30 years ago, there was a system in place for people with like obviously ADHD like yourself. But
within schools. Yeah.
I think it's come forward a lot in, say, maybe like the last 10 years, from what it seems like outside looking in.
I feel like it gets misdiagnosed a lot now.
But do you feel like it was almost on its way to like hopefully making change kind of as you grew up, but you still kind of missed?
No, I mean, I felt like because my mother was very, like I said, I was very attached. So when she went mad and she just completely changed and didn't know who I was, like smothering me, like a helicopter went over the house one day. She was like, "I'm gonna die," and that kind of stuff's crazy. I mean, I had to get her from a graveyard once on my own because my dad was doing this bricklaying course at the job centre, and I had to go and find my mum because she disappeared. My little sister, who she had, it was postnatal that sent her crazy basically, but I had my little sister. My little sister was being looked after by my sister, I think, elsewhere. And you got to think, I'm a 9-year-old kid who's just been singled out of school daily and treated completely wrong, in my opinion, to then having to go and find, my mother wherever she may be. I'm 9 years old. I'm following. She was at she went through another breakdown when I was 14, right? And this relates to this story because I found her at the graveyard at a statue of the Virgin Mary, and she's not a religious woman, really, not properly. And years later, she disappeared again. I found her in the exact same space, and it was like, flooding back. Yeah. So it happened when I was 9 and 14, and they got to be some of the worst times for that to happen. Yeah. But they diagnosed me really because of my behaviour. I was knocking everyone out, man. Like I was just hard as nails. Yeah. Like I'm not a fighter now at all, but back then I was just getting into scraps with kids. They'd say something out of line. I remember my dad told me he loved me once outside the school, and they were all taking the piss out of me for it. I thought, that's bizarre. Yeah. So I knocked them all out for it, and they were like, "This kid is out of control. He's mad."
But no one understood.
But no one understood it, but music wasn't in my life that much at that point. It was just because my mother was ill, and because I'd been bought a guitar when she was a bit better, that I saw something interesting in it. I took some comfort in it. Obviously my brother at the time, during that first breakdown, he was only like 17, 18 himself, but he'd moved out, so he was around, but nobody had the attention for me, And when you've got ADHD and you're craving attention, so and nobody can give it you. You're isolated, so that's why my relationship with my older siblings is great. Yeah. But it is a different relationship that I have with my younger sibling because I always wanted it to be like, I'm going to make sure that you
could be
you can't have this kind of life, And she was lucky enough to kind of avoid some of it. Yeah. But she remembers it like. So that's basically why the music's there. It was comfort, and I had that relationship with my father. He's a fucking film nerd as well. He's got over 2,000 films in his collection. He's got this bookshelf. Yeah, it's just packed full of films. So that's his go-to. His go-to is music, sound, and film. Yeah. My uncle Sean Duggan is another one. Nice. He's like a genius guitar player. He's a recluse now, unfortunately. I wouldn't say he was a complete recluse, but he's quite reclusive. Yeah. He actually became a lecturer at the University of Birmingham for a while, and my grandfather was a leader, head of a union, and saved loads of people's jobs. He was an Irish immigrant, very socialist, very left-wing individual. Genius guy, man. He used to have 7 books on the go at once, and he'd just sit and read. So intellectually, there is a genetic link there. So that need to create. I have an aunt who's very creatively religious, but she also plays guitar as well. I have a mad evil uncle out there who could have a book of his own, who's an intellectual. And
I'll gather that from you because obviously the way that you use words.
Yeah, you're so articulate.
Yeah, you are.
But it's really an accident because I never got directly taught these things. I used to ask my dad a lot of questions, and all my education came from my reading.
The system didn't teach you.
My school taught me nothing, man. That's why I'm mathematically completely terrible. When it comes to numbers, I'm useless. But with reading and knowledge and real deep, good stuff. The stuff you need to know, really. The human condition. I'm very emotional, really. I'm very in tune with my emotions. Probably more so than anyone in my family because that's what I focused on. Yeah. I always remember. I know it just seems bizarre actually talking about it, but I always remember you'd see things in films, and then if you saw them in real life, that would really deeply affect you as a child. The stuff I saw between my mother and father. I always remember when I was 14. He'd finally got a number to get her sectioned. So for 6 months he was struggling. He was getting no sleep. You know, he's quite a big guy as well. You know, he was just deteriorating. You know, my grandmother not died. Actually, my nan died after this, but so he had a terrible time around that point. And they are bizarre people. My mother and father. They my dad will say some things that'll make you go, like he says just outlandishly mad, crazy anger things. Like, I killed a lot of you, but it comes from a place of love, and it was never violent or anything like that. Nothing like that. It's just this big chaotic household that we found quite funny.
Are you still close?
Yeah, I love my parents to pieces. I mean, I had a very strange relationship with my mother because I felt like ties were severed. Yeah. But you know, like I was saying before, like these things that you see in films, you never really expect to see them in real life. No. But I was seeing these things. Like I always remember my mum just running out the door when I was a kid. My sister was in a car. My dad's jumped up and he's had to chase her down the street. She nearly got hit by a car. Some mad drunk neighbour from around the corner tried to attack him. You know, I'm watching this on the doorstep. I'm screaming like like I'm pale and being sick. You know, I look at the neighbour came around and goes, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I'm having to watch this crazy lady being brought back by my dad, and she was saying crazy things like, you know, and these were things that you see in films and never thought you'd experience.
Where'd you grow up?
Whaley Castle in Birmingham, just not too far from Selly Oak. So I'd call it Selly Oak, Northfield kind of area. So, you know, we're in a council estate, you know, and just loads of chaos really that I remember. But
so even the streets were quite chaotic.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, the thing is, we lived on quite a nice road really, and it still is. It's still quiet really. If you keep yourself to yourself, you're fine. You know, people kind of know you anyway. You know, like people know me around there, not for my music, but for what I was at primary school. Yeah. They remember me like as if it happened yesterday, and I'm like, well, you're talking to me about things that happened when I was a child, you know. Yeah. But no, it's always seeped throughout, you know, the family, kind of these really deep, thoughtful individuals that care about they care about the death of injustice. You know, that's what it's about in my family. The injustice is wrong, you know. You know, my nan was a sort of woman. I think the one story I heard, I might be wrong. The one story I heard is like she found £100, and this is like you're talking in maybe the 70s or something like that. That's £100, man. That's a hell of a lot of money. And she was like, you know, she found it in a wallet, you know, and obviously the wallet has details. She gave it back, you know. And these are those kind of people. Back then, you wouldn't do that, you know, and. So in that way, I came from a loving family. And
the morals are there.
My nan was a singer; she could sing as well. She had a stunning voice, you know. It's funny actually. I'm talking about it because I think today, or maybe a couple of days ago, it's been 10 years since her funeral. So, but she was a great human being and really, you know, beautiful stories But the music came from everybody really. Having a brother that was into music. I mean, my brother also joined a band called the Cracked Actors, which were massively well known, and they were on the Digbeth scene, and so I remember pubs like that you guys might not remember, like the Adam and Eve. No. See, this is mad because I'm too young to really remember the Adam and Eve. But I remember it, you know, because I played there. You know, I played there at 13, 14 with everyone chonging weed in the back. You know, sharing it with me, you know, underage, and that was my life. I thought, this is great. I want to do this for.
So that's weird because obviously we're not from like Birmingham way. We cut our teeth like river rooms and like even like Katie Fitz down the road, and like I was playing open mics in Tipton. it was a big journey for us to kind of get into Birmingham. Like
the first place I ever played was the Rainbow.
Yeah, that's it.
That was it.
Yeah.
Well, this
is like first gig as well.
First Birmingham.
First
Birmingham
gig. I think mine was as well. Talk bar. Remember that little place?
I remember that little place by the Forbidden Planet and that. It's moving now. But I remember that as well.
It's a cool group.
Does your mum still struggle?
Yeah, of course, but she's on a good path now. I mean, because the thing is as well, my mother has a lot of physical problems as well. Like she's had arthritis since she was 16, and that's beat her up. And when she was ill, she'd kind of forgotten that she had arthritis, so she's running around making everything worse. She's got arthritis of the spine, so she's she's disabled. My dad is essentially kind of reclusive. He kind of dedicated his life to us, really. Yeah. He had a lot of stuff happen to him in his youth that kind of, you know, really should have made a much more bitter man, but his morals have
still got
the way he can be sometimes, and his morals. You know how they say actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
Sometimes his words can be very brash and kind of almost verging on insane.
Yeah.
You know, and funny as well. Like, this is the thing. Like, all these traumatic events are kind of funny. You know, like, I know they're not, but they are hilarious, because I remember, like, you know, my mother screaming the neighbour's name, while throwing all my toys out the window, and I'm like, please stop. But there's something funny about her shouting the name Bridget over and over again. Okay, and there's the funny part. Bridget! Bridget's like, what? And Bridget was 80, maybe like 83 at the time. No. And you think, God, what's Bridget going to do?
Yeah.
You have to look at these things.
Do you see it's kind of...
It's not a why me situation. It's just, that's my life, and it's just there.
Do you reckon it's a natural coping mechanism for it to switch it to a...
Yeah, I think so, because I can make some very, 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 very dark jokes that just seem so... Yeah, we've had a few, yeah. But, you know, it's nothing, you know, like, I mean, we'll touch on it a little bit, like, but, for example, I've told you about, like, I had an overdose once. My mother giggled, and my dad was panicking a bit, like, he was ashamed, you know, but my mother she didn't know how to...
process it,
so she just went like that.
Wow.
While the ambulance were there and checking me and that, and there was something quite funny about it. You don't...
Oh, they were there?
Yeah, they were there. But yeah, I had to crawl downstairs and tell them. Shall we talk about it?
Do you want to go into it now?
I think we might.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, go on.
So, okay, I'll start from the beginning then. So it really starts early as well, to be honest, because it's a kind of it's an accumulation of things.
Yeah.
So, they put me on medication for the first time when I was about 11. And that was Ritalin, and Ritalin is what's known as a methylphenidate, so it's not quite the same as an amphetamine. Years later, they put me on this one called risperidone, which they don't treat people with ADHD anymore because it sends you batshit crazy.
No way.
And makes you put loads of weight on. Then they put me on this med that were working for me for about 5 years. Then they stopped working for me one day, giving me the worst anxiety ever. I was in a band called Winston's Big Brother at the time.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, I was in that band.
Oh. Why do I know it?
Because they were around a lot, man.
I think I might have played a gig with you.
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was in the band at the time. I was in the band for about a year.
They were good.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, the single
what
was...
did you play?
I was lead guitarist.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
with those blues licks,
and
you
Mark,
can imagine.
And Mark was the
Can
bass
you
player.
imagine me there going, that's fucking sick.
But Mark was the bass player of that band, and he from day
Mate,
one,
I'm going to have to find out where I know that band name from, and
Yeah.
I'll message you about it, because I'll throw up the wall now.
It is mad, isn't it? It's a small world, isn't it?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But yeah, then you know, at the time that my mother was ill and all that, and when I was 14, I'd gotten with a girl that I was with for like 7 years, and she was very much like, you can do this, but you can't do that. You can this, that, and that makes you a lot more rebellious. You know, it makes you want to do drugs all the time and that. But my medication, really, like, I come off it one day, and she was like, "Oh, good for you," you know. And then they put me on these new meds. I don't know what brought her into this, but she plays a part in it somewhere. It's just
it's
all I was saying, that the reason why I could be very trigger happy with drugs is because I felt like I have to do this right now. I have to do lots of it right this minute. And she didn't really have to know. I know that's wrong now. Like, if I want to do something, I'm going to tell you. And then if you say no, I'll respect it.
Some of the most articulate people in the world use drugs though. And
yeah, well,
like,
this is what I mean.
Part of the brain thing that
we watched Scott Weiland's documentary last night, didn't we?
Yeah.
So,
same with Huntress Thompson. And
exactly. And Jack Kerouac, who
yeah.
used to write books in 3 days, you know, on a one continuous scroll while doing Benzedrine, which you'd put as a strip in coffee. It was just openly available. Amphetamine. They were diet pills as well, and that plays a big part in it as well. The diet pill part of it, because I was a fat kid. And I was told I was a fat kid a lot, and that makes you go,
Kids on the
I'm fat, like everyone, even older people, parents, whatever. So that makes you think, okay, I need to starve myself.
You're gaunt now though, ain't you?
Well, no, I've put a bit of weight on now, but the thing is, some of these meds make you not want to eat.
Okay.
So you can use them to your advantage. So I come off those meds that weren't working for me when I was 19. By the time I was 20, because I came off them like that, like abruptly, I ballooned, man. I went from I was like always around like 12 and a half, 13 stone anyway. But I went from that way up like fucking 16 stone I was at my very heaviest. And then the nurses come round. It was the day my granddad passed away as well, or the day after. And they said, all right, we're going to try you on new meds. They haven't been around in Britain for long. They're called Elvance. They're a lisdexamphetamine, and what that means is they're a prodrug. They can't be snorted. They can't be. They can't be abused. They say, but I'm gonna completely debunk that because they can absolutely. In the 60s and 70s, people used to take what's known as Dexedrine, Dexies. They're one of the most potent, cleanest, nicest, cognitive enhancing drugs you can take. They actually increase your cognitive ability by sometimes up to about 25%. Yeah, that's where Dexies Midnight Runners come. Dexies Midnight Runners, and university students take them to get their work done as well. Quite famously, in the States they have Adderall, which is which is what's known as the more active release version of it. So it's just straight amphetamine. Okay. But mine are a slow release, right? I'm on 50 milligrams. 50 milligrams of a lisdexamphetamine is the equivalent of 15 milligrams of dextroamphetamine. And what that means is when I take my tablets, they get metabolized in I think it's in your blood, and then there's a chemical that binds the amphetamine together, and once that is released and metabolized, the dextroamphetamine gets released. The reason they do that is so you don't get high immediately, and there's no need for abuse. If you take more of that, you're still getting this administration of dextroamphetamine. You take enough of it, you're getting this slow, consistent release.
You're almost taking it for 12 hours time, but it's kicking in from the last 12 hours.
I took it as medicated for years, for like 2.5 years before I started abusing them. And I'll tell you why I started abusing them. I knew I was dependent on them. And the day I knew that I was dependent on them was the day that I'd forgotten to get my prescription. And I'd rid my bike, and I'd lost loads of weight as well. I'd lost like 5 stone, man. I went down to like 10 stone in like 4 months. Like, I was like shredded, man. I'd never been that healthy and pretty. I was really pretty, man. Yeah, that's what happened. Like, but like I'm telling you, man, I was looking great. Like,
you get addicted to that as well, then.
Yeah, you get addicted to that feeling. So I was riding this bike everywhere, and the one day I hadn't taken my meds, and I felt like shit, man. Like, and that's what they do to you. Like, they just drain you because there's no dopamine. Like, you like just want to sleep. And I crashed into a tree, man. I was just like, oh shit. I need my meds. I need them. I just need them. I just knew I needed them. But it wasn't until I was hired to work in this restaurant in town called Brown's. It was the worst. Oh man, hate talking about it because it's just the worst experience. It wasn't my kind of thing. It's really symbolic as well because I just wanted to stay awake during these shifts in this busy restaurant. I was getting bullied by this really gay, eccentric, tall black dude called Austin. He was from Miami. He made the most beautiful, gorgeous cocktails. He was so good at his craft. But he was an asshole, man. He was just a complete asshole. And in the end, I was going to stab him in the face with a champagne shoot. But I didn't. I just walked out in the end. But I started taking all my pills, right, just to keep me awake. And I started to like them. And I was a year before this, I'd split up with the girl that I was with for years, and I was in like a rebound that I felt kind of trapped in. I was like, oh, I made a mistake. It's a big lesson that all men and women learn anyway. The relationships that you do are just built on lust, and then you're trapped, and you go, shit, it's not actually a viable, sustainable thing. And she kind of moved herself into my mum and dad's, and she used to come and wait for me outside, like the working place, and just sit outside for hours while all these trampy guys and that were walking past her. And she was just bait, proper. And I was just like, to deal with that stress, I was just taking more and more of these pills. And then, like a week later or something like that, after I've walked out of this job, Mark comes round. Mark, who you've met before. He comes round, comes into my bedroom, and she's there, and I'm supposed to be trying to fix this relationship. So he never comes to visit me at my mum and dad's, ever. But for some reason, he just picks this one day. He walks straight into the bedroom, and he goes, "Hi, Sean." He looks at my lampshade, and he goes, bang, punches it, it shatters. I'm like, oh God, it's one of them. He goes, "Here, I have this beer." I'm like, oh, kind of not now. But so he sits down, he says to her, he goes, "Don't you ever smile like that?" And I'm like, he's just making things worse. I'm like, okay, gotta go. I go downstairs, and he's just like, gotta get rid of her. And then I heard my dad laugh in the kitchen. He was just like, And I was like, yeah, you're right, man. I have to get rid of her.
Was he rocked up like that? Did he hate her?
No. That's just his banter, you know. Yeah, he just turned up like.
Just turns up, punches the lampshade.
He's next episode of the podcast.
Yeah. So anyway, he comes round, he does that, and then he's just like, just get rid of her, and I'll see you in a bit. I was like, okay. So I got so we split up, and I said, you gotta go, and there was she had a bit of a cry and that, and I just felt like, what am I doing? I was still kind of heartbroken over my first relationship because it does count, man.
That's 7 years. That is.
And it sent me crazy. But obviously, because she wasn't there anymore, and I was a single guy, mate. Just orgy man central like that. This is what you can keep this in the podcast because I've told my missus about all of these ordeals. I was just shagging all the time, taking drugs all the time. I was just taking drugs. I was looking for acid at the time, and I was introduced to somebody who just happened to have about 100 grand's worth of just drugs for free that he'd just give to all his mates. So I was hanging out with these guys where drugs were just the driving force, man. They were a little younger than me.
Did you like, I take it that's like then cocaine and stuff as well?
Well, I'm not really into cocaine. I think I think when you got things like speed that last forever, and I've got.
But did you have to make that transition to like the illegal element of it? Because then
no, but I've done
I've
done cocaine at like 15 and stuff like that. I've done hard drugs for years and years, just not as much as I did at this particular period. So I was 22. What 22? 27. Yeah, I was 22. And I just started taking loads of amphetamines, man. I loved them, like M&MH. I never liked pills, dirty pills. I only liked clean drugs. I had like a little machine that could test your drugs for you and tell you how clean they were.
I mean,
so
if you're taking drugs, that's probably the best way to do it.
No,
you know
so
what I mean?
I was researching like what you'd consider to be the safest dose for your weight and stuff like that. So I was taking them very sensibly, but I still caned it. Yeah. So these amphetamines, they were just making me write and work and just consistently get better. And I was just getting better the more and more I did them. So I mean, crazy. It's almost like shameful to admit, but a lot of my skill comes from that complete focus, because you can take these tablets, right, and they can make you stare at one spot all day if you let it.
Was you already quite an accomplished guitar player at this point? Was this you honing your craft as a
songwriter? I was just my craft as a songwriter has been like a journey I've been on since I was about 13.
Okay. Yeah.
When I got into Bob Dylan, Bob Dylan was the one for me. I started trying to copy him, and that taught me a lot when I started listening to The Who, because for me, The Who are my favourite band. Okay. And that's why I write the way I do, like The Who, Bob Dylan, Van Morrison, David Bowie.
Is there elements of your voice from Bob Dylan, do you think?
Vocally, I'm more inspired by. Initially, when I was a kid, I was inspired by all the rock singers. Okay. But now, as an adult, I'm more inspired by Sam Cooke and Van Morrison, and and I suppose Bowie, and like proper, and Jeff Buckley and things like that. Someone said Pale and Nitini to me one day. They compared me to him, and I was just like, I don't really listen to any new music, even though it's not that new. And I started listening to him, but I love him. I actually fell in love with his music, and I found out that all his influences are the same as mine.
Yeah, of course.
But anyway, like going back to the amphetamine thing, one week, I wouldn't stop doing them. Like I was just doing them. I got these ecstasy pills that were probably the only time I've ever had an ecstasy pill that's really nice and clean. I took 4 of them, and then I took 10 of my meds. But the way I took them, it was in my room. I just didn't want the bus to go. I just met some friends that I hardly knew, and then come back. I just didn't want the bus to go, because I used to lose myself in music on my own. I was very much I'm doing drugs on my own kind of guy, and I've always kind of been that way.
But music was part of the reason.
Yeah, music was part of the reason. But I'm sat on my bed in this just dingy ass room, right? And it's kind of funny, because this is the beginning of a book that I wrote. I'm stood like, the book starts from. For anyone that doesn't know, I wrote a book. It's for personal use, really. It was to.
Read it then, man.
I'll go into that at some point.
You gotta send it, man.
Yeah, it was done on a typewriter, so if you can look after the only version of it.
I've got it in my life.
Yeah, and you can kind of. The grammar's not great, but.
You still got the typewriter?
I've still got the typewriter. Yeah, I still use it with the ribbon and that.
Oh.
Yeah, they're great, man. Yeah. I mean, I can bring it around and lend it to you if you want to use it, man.
I'll try.
Yeah, they're great. But it's not hard, man. It's the same. It's the QWERTY. It's set out. But anyway, this one night I took 10 of my meds, man, and I'm chatting to my mate, and I was trying to rekindle this relationship with this girl, the first girl that I split with. Anyway, I let a lot of things loose, and that ended. Anyway, I mean, it's not even that important anyway, that part. But the important part was that I was chatting to my mate, and at some point I felt this fizz, like this pins and needles go around my head.
Oh shit!
And I was like, man, that's weird, that is. And I started getting really hot, and then it felt like someone had grabbed my arms and they were doing that on my chest. So it felt like my chest was full of clay, man, just full of this, just complete. Think of all the negativity in the world just shoved into a concrete ball and then fed down your throat. And I was like, shit. And then I felt my face going like that, like seizing up. And I could feel every muscle in my face tighten up and form this face that didn't exist. I was like, I looked like a completely different creature.
Yeah.
My arms then, they went like that. And I went like this. And I was seized like that, man. So I was like fucking a T-Rex Sylvester Stallone, man.
Body's almost like
Like
shutting
that,
down
like,
to try and save itself. Like.
And like you know, like I tell you, the closest thing you can get on film to that moment, I think, is probably Wolf of Wall Street.
When he's on the loose.
That moment is kind of what happened to me. And I messaged my mate. I was like, "Look, ring my house phone if this goes to shit."
Yeah.
And I felt stuff going wrong, so I had to walk down to my mum and dad's, and I was like, I walked straight into the living room, and I went, "Mum, right, I think I'm having an overdose." And they were like, "What?"
Were they aware of the drug use?
They were aware of it, yeah, because, I mean, you know what, I mean, this is the worst part about it. It goes as far as to say that my drug problem was getting so out of hand that I was selling everything.
Yeah.
I started to sell things, I started to sell my belongings.
Yeah.
I sold so
None
many
of theirs,
things.
just yours.
I mean, I robbed some money once.
Yeah.
I wasn't proud of that at
No,
all.
of course.
I stole some money.
Were your friends ever
They weren't that
worried?
aware.
Were they aware?
They weren't that aware, really, because they were kind
your
of
social
into
group
it.
didn't change.
They
It
were-
wasn't with the wrong people.
Yeah, well, I was never in with the wrong people. It was my choice.
Yeah.
All of this was my choice, and it was something that I predetermined as a young kid. I knew was going to happen one day.
Yeah.
But I never thought that I might have had an overdose, but it was happening, and I felt nothing.
You worried?
No, I wasn't. No, it's weird, man, because it's just like, well, this is it then, or this is how it is. I did think at one point, am I going to be stuck like this forever? Because that wouldn't have been very nice, man. That would have been absolutely horrific. But I told them, and they called my brother. My brother was just like, "What's up, man?" They felt the heat on my chest. They had to take me to resus in the hospital, because I remember my brother asking, "He's not going to die, is he?" And they were like, "We can't really. We don't know," because what it turns out, I had what's known as acute metabolic acidosis, or something like that, which is where the acidity levels in your body, your pH, and it becomes so acidic that it can burn and destroy your organs. Luckily, I had nothing damaged. Nearly went into cardiac arrest while I was on the table, and kind of blacked out and started like seeing some mad world and hearing voices of people that I knew. They were like, you can do it, you'll be alright, you'll be fine. And my brother, at that moment, he was just like, he had to go to work, and he did anyway, because that's just how we're strange people, he did that.
You can kind of shut it off.
Yeah.
Clocking.
But then they put me on this table. There was a guy next to me that was throwing up blood. But he was surviving. Like, this machine that they hook you up to, it was going boop boop. This needle goes into your arm real deep on the IV and that. And you're just being fed this fluid that helps a lot, man. It just makes you feel a lot better. But I did keep thinking that, is this if this isn't a heart attack, then what the fuck is it?
Yeah.
Because that's what it felt like,
So it wasn't because on the brink of.
It wasn't. I'd go as far as to say it was like It was agonising, but without being agonising. If that makes any sense. Yeah. Like, you're just completely unaware of the level of pain that's going, because your muscles. What amphetamines do is they stimulate your muscles to the point where they just contract like that consistently.
Sounds daft. When you're going through that, I take it they then don't give you like pain relief, like morphine and stuff.
No, they gave me Valium, which is also no. But listen,
balances you out.
It balances it out. Basically, what you need to do as well. And if you want to take, the reason I'm telling this story as well is because I feel like I do also have a duty to say that drugs can be used and controlled if you do your research. People do not do their research, and that's why so many people fucking die.
Yeah.
people die from amphetamines mostly because of dehydration. They
Yeah.
die of that, and it's not because of that. Because what happens is a lot of water
The
gets
liver shuts down and
it
stuff,
actually gets
doesn't it?
it actually gets retained by amphetamines. They hold the water in you. But you should always have a downer on hold, man. You should always have like a sleeping pill or something like that on you, man. Because if your friend has acid, for example, and goes completely insane, slap a Valium in the mouth, man, and watch it save their life. Save them in that moment. It will save them.
Yeah.
And they're not so, but you know, you can use them for recreational
Yeah, yeah.
purposes, but they can also be used to save people's fucking lives because they slow your heart rate down.
Yeah.
So they stopped my heart from going into cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
And then I started to relax a bit, and then I'm just lying around and they're not telling me much. I'm like, okay, better get up. So I got up, and I'm walking around with this fucking drip in my arm, and I'm like, I need to see a doctor. Where is everybody? This nurse laid into me at some point, screaming in my face because I told her to like fuck off or something, because I needed my meds. I said, I went looking for my meds, which I overdosed on.
You wanted to take more.
So so I said, give me I need my meds, you know. I took my meds, and then put them in my pocket, and I was like, I need someone to take this out my arm. I couldn't wait any longer. Obviously, you got to remember, like, I just overdosed, you know. Like, I never really truly processed it properly because the ensuing months, shocking, I suppose, but the ensuing months were worse than the overdose, which is insane. You know, it's such a long ass story, man. But I
Can I
pulled
ask you a quick question? You know, when you talk about, like, you could hear voices and stuff, and you felt like you were seeing things. Has that led you to feel like there's like an afterlife? Like, did it feel spiritual, or did you just feel like your brain kind of?
I mean, have you ever heard of like the quantum immortality thing?
I mean, that's a very big
The
word.
thing regarding the, like machine elves and.
Well, no. Well, the idea is that there's, you know, we live in the third dimension,
Okay.
and that there's a fourth dimension which we can't comprehend, and they reckon that your consciousness is like a radio signal,
Okay.
so that when you die, your consciousness leaves your body, and it goes into the other plane, and it still exists.
Hence the idea about
Yeah.
life.
So it's kind of like an afterlife, but you can't.
But
get
it's
there.
uncomprehendable.
Yeah, it's uncomprehendable. It's
Yeah.
like it's quantum. It's like a quantum
There's a
theory.
weird thing with Mark Bolan with that.
Yeah.
It was like a Derek Acora type person. They claimed to speak to Mark Bolan about, like, once he'd passed.
I've heard this.
And
kind of
he
stuff.
was like, they asked him, they was like, is there music there? And he was like, yeah. He was like, is there a guitar? No. And I was there going, if I ain't taking my Les Paul with me, man, like, I'm
No.
going to be pissed off.
No,
Like,
I believe-
it's that unmaterialistic.
No.
That I can imagine that uncomprehendability. That I was there going, well, I can't do that with guitar. Like, I can't not play guitar, but if there's still music, then again, music's a
Well,
thing.
obviously, as I said before, like, you know, I've done a lot of psychedelics, man, and I did psychedelics to really not explore what kind of things you could see, really to find out a bit about myself, because they, you know, they talk about this whole loss of ego and all that, and I absolutely believe there's like an afterlife now, but it's not what we think it is. You know, because I take.
Do you associate it with God, or do you?
No, not really. No, not at all. No, I mean, I hate to. I'm not to berate religion, because religion can be a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Religion is just a way of coping,
Yeah.
or is a way of
Finding out
it's like a cultural way of being spiritual.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're a Christian, there's no difference to your Christianity and Buddhism in certain ways. You know, it's just some of them are more expansive.
It's probably
than
just
others.
easier to comprehend.
And easier to comprehend. But what it is, it's a book to live by.
Yeah.
It's a rule book.
People don't know that.
But I don't want to do that. You know, I want to listen to all parts of it. You know, like
Yeah.
you know, I find I find like the fact that the Quran has never been changed. I find that more interesting to me than the Bible being changed multiple times.
Yeah.
More interesting. You know, what are you trying to hide?
Because
you know,
it gets outdated.
you know, because the Christianity is so it's become so whitewashed, really, and turned into something that it's not. You
Everyone
know,
thinks Jesus is a white guy.
it's been changed. Yeah, this is
He was
exactly.
Like, he was like 5'11" and me, we'd be like
So
4'7".
there's a lot
like,
of the thing about religion is there's a lot of stupidity in it.
Yeah.
There's too much stupidity in it, and you know, if I said that there's a God and there's a heaven, then that's me kind of going against science. No, I'm not saying that there isn't, but I'm saying that we're a blip in the universe.
Ricky
that's
Gervais
big,
says it, doesn't he? He's
expand.
like, he's like, there's so many countless religions. He's like, but you think that your God's right. He's like, but
Yeah.
you don't think the others are. He's like, and that's like the bubble burster for anyone. Like,
Yeah, and I agree with him absolutely wholeheartedly, but I'm not an atheist, because but to be an atheist would be to completely
so
berate.
spiritualist.
It's to be yeah. So it would be to berate spirituality
Yeah.
in general. Like, I believe that I can transcend, because people have transcended through meditation and stuff. There are things that people have experienced, and that can be experienced. That don't need to be explained.
Yeah.
But I truly believe that, and even if it does turn out that when you die there's nothing,
Yeah.
I take solace in the fact that if I was to be buried, then I'm in the ground.
Your energy goes into the worms.
The worms,
The soil.
and I become the soil. I'm now a part of what makes the planet Earth.
Yeah.
And that is afterlife. Because
That's why I want
life
to be
goes on.
cremated.
That's why life
You
goes
don't
on.
want to be cremated.
No.
Yeah, exactly the same reason.
Same.
We seem to be on the same page.
I don't think.
Oh.
I didn't think it was a thing, but
I was always that scared of death.
yeah.
I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but I always wanted my brain frozen. And if we ever came to a point where we can move on,
It's funny that he says this because I was exactly the same. Afraid,
okay.
petrified of death. The idea of death. This whole, I can't believe that happened.
I genuinely just wanted to get buried in my Les Paul. So I guess buried.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, taking that Les Paul with me, man. I was like, unless it's worth about 100 grand in about like 20 years time, when I do pass,
You're
I'll be
sat
like,
in a pub.
and I'll be like, Cooper, up to my Labrador still
Yeah.
alive. I'll be like, Cooper, this one's for you, mate. You can
Yeah.
have a nice little doghouse in the garden.
Well, I was exactly the same as you, but
Yeah.
now I realised after kind of nearly dying. I mean, I was only there for a night. I was only in hospital for a
Yeah.
night, but it was enough to really rattle me. And I mean, I walked home after, and I didn't contact anyone, so I just walked into the door and I was like, "You're right, Mum. You're right, Dad." And there was a little sad moment, like my brother had gotten pissed at the pub, and so it was.
What was their
it was fine.
response?
My mother was just like, I knew you'd be alright, but she's got her own issues to deal with.
She
My
does,
dad
yeah.
cried, which was a bit bizarre, really. I knew he'd deal with that, but I didn't want to put that strain on him anymore. But going back to that being afraid of death thing,
Yeah.
I have to bring that up because I nearly did. I'd see that when I'm dead, it's going to be very painful for other people, but
Yeah,
not
yeah.
me.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not going to be painful for me. It's just another venture for
It's
me.
weird how
I'm gonna find out when I'm dead,
Yeah.
and if I don't find out, it's because I'm. If I don't find out because I'm dead,
Yeah.
it means there's nothing to find out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you don't come from a place of fear with it now.
No, not at all. I'm
comfortable
quite
with it.
comfortable with it. Like it's a shame if I get shot in the head right now, but the thing is, I don't
Yeah.
have to deal with the consequence,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is quite
Yeah.
selfish, but that's the truth.
Yeah, I get that.
But the thing that's bizarre for me is for what happened in LA for me
Yeah.
was probably it's nowhere near an overdose. But again, they said I was close to having a heart attack.
Yeah.
Blah blah
No
blah.
way.
Yeah, mine was literally just off caffeine.
No way.
But again,
man.
I guess it works
Don't
the
say
same
that.
as
It
I
it
have
was,
was.
about
it was monsters and
I have
loads
about-
of refill coffee.
I have about 30 cups of coffee a day. I'm not kidding you.
Well, that's
Yeah.
the
That's a
thing
new
is,
addiction.
But this is.
I never drank coffee, no caffeine, anything really.
Yeah.
Went to having 10 black
You
coffees.
drink a lot of Coke, to be fair, so that's probably your only caffeine
Yeah,
intake,
like,
isn't
but
it?
it's not an energy drink,
No,
is
no,
it? So I
no,
was
yeah.
drinking coffees at about 10.
Where was this in LA?
In LA,
And this
yeah.
is LA coffee as well. This is
Yeah, well,
caffeine.
that's-
It's
that's
This
fine.
is American coffee.
This is-
like,
And it was
Yeah,
black
yeah.
coffee.
Yeah.
And then I ended up having they had like massive. They were like 750ml monsters. Had one of those sat in the studio and had weirdly the same experience as you with
Yeah.
the pins and needles coming around the head.
Yeah, because it's a
Then
stimulant. It did. What happened to you happened to me.
Literally,
essentially.
but I didn't freeze
Yeah.
up though.
yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas my face went droopy, same as
Yeah,
yours
yeah, yeah.
did. And then I'm not comparing them.
It's a
because-
stimulant. It's a stimulant overdose. It's the
Well, it's
same.
probably closer than I probably
It's-
ever
it's-
gave you credit
it's-
for. That like
it's the
we
same.
joked about that when you come back.
We
like,
all did, didn't we? I mean,
Yeah.
but my heart
I'm
was
there going
doing.
fucking coffee, man.
My
That's
heart was
rock and roll.
doing 156 sat on the spot, like,
Yeah.
and I hadn't moved for hours, and they were like, "You were close. If you weren't as young as you were, you would have had a heart attack."
Yeah.
And then I was again everyone.
You're
like,
kind of fearful of caffeine.
So that's what they
really,
said to mine.
fair.
My heart rate went to, like, it was in the 190s.
Yeah,
So
I mean, that's
after you've
mad.
just said
Yeah,
that to
yeah.
me, that's made me just the gravitas of what I was going through has
Yeah,
now
yeah.
become just apparent to
Of
me
course.
even
But what-
more. Jesus,
But what the thing is, that's different is that you've taken that.
I was close.
Yeah, mate,
yeah,
literally.
mate.
Shit, I was close.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm not comparing what
No,
I
but
went through
now
to
that you
you.
Mate,
said
that's-
that-
but you know when you're at the gym
Yeah,
and they have like the thing that indicates
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
if your heart rate's above like 140, stop exercising.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So then you're already past that. Like,
Yeah,
you,
but I'm not comparing it to what you went through, mate. Cause,
But it is
again,
similar.
but again,
I
it's
guess
symptoms
it's
are
still-
similar. It's coming from the same
it's the
place as
same
your
sort of-
body
It's a
shutting
it's a
down.
fright-
frightening. It's a
it's a
frightening
stimulant.
experience. It's a scary experience.
But it's the way that you've handled it very differently to me because I just came uber scared of death.
Yeah.
Mm.
I was 100% scared of death. I couldn't
Yeah.
leave the flat when I was in LA. I couldn't get out of bed. They all went to Santa
Well, the
Monica.
reason I wasn't,
started around that
I
time,
wasn't,
something
you know,
like
I wasn't, you know, because it can trigger those kind of chemical reactions in your brain that become kind of pseudo permanent, you know. That's what, like I said about LSD earlier, like it's kind of permanently done something to me.
Yeah,
but you know,
yeah.
that's why I'm very apprehensive about. Well, I don't need to do it again, really, but
Yeah.
It's been 3 years since I went to LA now, and I'd probably say I've probably fully recovered mentally 6 months ago.
oh, you know, like
Yeah.
I've got to be honest, man. Like I kind of announced it on Facebook, and I got a lot of support, and the support continued from various people
Yeah.
because I had a very similar moment happen again a couple of months later. But I'll touch on that in a minute. I was over it in a day. This overdose,
Yeah.
it didn't mean a thing to me. You know,
Yeah.
like I carried on. You know, in
So
fact,
did you go back and
on the
use?
way back, I mean, I just took more.
Wow.
You know, because I knew
So
I
the
was
next
okay.
3 months of hell.
If
Like,
I was supposed to die,
yeah.
the reason I wasn't afraid of death was because I didn't die. You know,
Yeah.
like it wasn't my time.
And if you
know.
did die, you couldn't be afraid anymore.
Yeah, and I was
So
always.
Rocket Wish was like, oh, now I need to write and get music out because
Well, yeah, that's what I did.
the
I mean,
last thing you wanted to me, like the last thing I want to do as a musician is die before I've got an helmet that I really care about.
I mean, it was so on rock and roll to be into this amount of drugs before you've done anything particularly special. But I did lock myself away for. I locked myself away for a couple of days, and then after that, I kind of got into a bit of an argument with my brother, which is it's not that important. But I told everyone to fuck off, and I grabbed my busking amp and I grabbed my guitar, which was a battered Cort, like with tape all over it, and that battered. Took that with me. And I went,
They're awful guitars.
and I went, yeah. Well, no, this one was a good one actually.
Oh,
But,
okay.
like some of them can be poor. This was all set up quite nicely, and it was what taught me. Like this is what I started with, you know,
It's your
as,
crutch guitar,
as
yeah,
the
it's
solo
the guitar,
Sean
yeah.
Duggan, you know, because I was before that, I was always in bands,
Yeah.
but this is when I was just like, well, fuck this, I'm gonna go busk, and I actually could make money busking.
Yeah.
Because like I said before, I don't know, have you ever met Ben Drummond?
He runs a
He
jam.
he helps do the events at the
I think
Jam
I
House.
got him on Facebook.
Yeah,
Don't
well,
think I've ever met him.
Yeah, I was because I was telling Ryan earlier that jacket that there used to be his. There's like photos of
okay.
him 20 years ago.
You
and
love that coat as well, don't you?
So yeah, I love
it's
yeah.
a great coat.
It's a
So,
staple of you, that coat.
but he taught me.
I'll trade you my leather
He
jacket for that
taught,
one, to
no,
be fair.
love it, man. But he taught me the trade, how to make money in the game and how to
Yeah.
do the corporate gigs, and that gave me a completely new outlet and made me kind
Yeah.
of like want to go. Well, if I can make money doing gigs, then I'm gonna. And I did. We had this residency for months, and this. I mean, this is before the overdose, but
Yeah.
I had this had this three times per week gig,
Yeah.
whilst also doing 25 hours in a pub at the Stag.
What year did
Used to
you
work.
was your overdose?
This was 2017.
4 years ago.
Yeah,
It was
so,
only the year before I met you.
yeah. So I mean, I'd already been around.
Yeah.
I'd already been out and around, you know. But so we're talking. It was what was it? 3 years in January that I had my overdose. 3 years in January. So not that
January
long ago.
just gone.
Yeah.
I would have known you then, wouldn't I?
And that was 2018. The start of 2018. I had it.
Yeah, that was...
I met you in the September of the 2018.
Shit, so
Yeah.
I met you the same year.
Yeah, you met me the same year, man. But
Fuck.
that's part of the redemption. The whole uni thing's part of the redemption story,
Yeah.
innit? But yeah, I locked myself away. I fell out with my brother. I got this busking amp, and the Beast from the East was there, wasn't it? Snowed everywhere.
Oh yeah, I
Okay,
remember
yeah.
that. I do.
So I
remember
said,
that.
"Fuck this! I'm gonna go to a friend." So I went to my friends. I was like, "Well, where's my next move?" So
Was it
I
Mark or
bounced.
someone else?
Yeah, everyone. I did loads
Yeah.
of acid with Mark that time. That's the time I did the 11 tabs,
Yeah.
and we were like,
And you
we got-
broke on through to
yeah,
the
we
other
kept
side.
saying to each other, we got no legs, got no limbs,
Yeah.
and seeing
Got no
eyes
fans, you
everywhere.
got no brain.
But we were doing this all the time, and I wasn't at my parents' anymore. So for like a month, I was bouncing around different people's and just making money busking.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to get to Cardiff to see my mate Ryan because I hadn't seen him in so long. So
Is that Ryan that we met? That Stanstable is.
Did you? No.
That's another one.
No, I've met him through my partner's family.
Oh,
and,
okay.
like, yeah, I've only just reconnected with him as well because he split up with her cousin. It's a long story. That's a completely different
Yeah.
story. But anyway,
So-
So many
Part two.
tangents. Like
but this
part
guy,
2 is going to be about music.
because I was saying this to my missus. I was saying, wouldn't it be horrible if my mate Ryan was in this room with my mate Mark and Mark's housemate Sean? Because it'd be like, "Hi, I'm Sean. And this is Sean. That's Mark, and that's Mark. There's Ryan and Ryan. I only know Mark, Sean's, and Ryan. You know.
You're only my second Sean, to be fair, so it's not that bad, yeah.
I don't think I've ever met another Sean.
But
But like, he's got a family full of Marks as well. Like,
Yeah, I do.
so like, it's weird because he's there. Oh, I'm going around Marks. I'm like, you're cheating on me with another Mark, bro. It's
Yeah.
It's
like,
my dad
Dad Mark, or stepdad Mark, or your
cheese
dad
dad
Mark.
Mark.
yeah, it just happens, doesn't it? It
Basically,
is
every
mad.
father figure in Ryan's life is a Mark, including
But-
me.
Basically, my plan was I had this absurd plan, and it was obviously psychosis. I was going through a manic phase because you get these delusions, and my delusion was I've never been abroad, right?
Yeah.
So my big delusion at this point was I was going to get a passport. I was going to save £1,400 to do this Eurostar and hostel.
Have you
kind
still
of
never
thing.
been?
I've still never been.
We'll go
No.
to Tenerife at some point, man. We'll have a
Yeah,
great
man,
time,
that'd
all
be great.
inclusive.
But I did. But I thought about I thought about doing that, and I thought about busking across Europe, and it was something I was planning to do, but the drugs were stopping it.
Yeah.
You know, so I wasn't in the right frame of mind. I was bouncing around these couches, and then I found out that you can actually connect with people on a couch hopping app, and
Okay, yeah.
speak to them for a bit, and then they'll let you know if they want
trust
they'll
you.
Yeah,
trust
yeah,
you
yeah.
enough to sleep on their couch. So I did that and went to Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds. Ended up in some weird town with a strange name in Wales, and I didn't even know it was Wales. But I was just going anyway. And then I finally got to Cardiff, and man, like I was busking along the way. And once I got to Cardiff, I went and met my mate at Liberty Bridge, which is the student halls that he lived in.
Yeah.
Now, this is the cool part, because the name of the book that I might finish drafts off to one day, it's called In Limbo at Liberty Bridge. I was stuck in Cardiff for like a month, man, because we were just blowing money on drugs all the time. He didn't know a single person that could sell drugs, was selling drugs at the time.
Yeah.
And we were outside one day, and I just shouted at these lads. I was like, "Yo, lads, you know I can get some acid." And they put us in touch with this guy called Danax.
Can you give his name?
Shit, man.
He's probably fucking dead, mate. I don't care. Hi, Danax. Anyway, he doesn't know me personally, but that was his name. That was his, well, it's not his actual name, obviously.
Yeah.
It's a
But
code
you know,
name.
it's like Xanax, isn't it?
Yeah,
Xanax.
yeah.
But he had everything, so I just bought £700 worth of drugs off of him, and I was doing a mixture of them.
Did you make the money from busking then?
Yeah, I did, yeah. And I,
Fucking hell, you done better than we did.
yeah,
busking.
I smashed it. I was
Mate,
smashing it.
We once bust to get we once bust to get Ryan a pair of jeans, right?
Did you have an amp on that though?
Yeah, bro.
Man, I swear to God, I don't have a pair of shorts at the
Bro,
time.
genuinely, you got these like little cute bald legs there, right, in these shorts. We're there busking in Birmingham High Street. I think we made like £9 a pair of jeans from like Primark, like £12. We've gone, fuck, let's just spend it on a Mackey's.
I made like an
You got
amp.
£700, bro. We couldn't buy you jeans.
I made
that's how shit we are.
£700. Well, no, I had a couple of paid gigs as well though, so I made about £400 in those 2 weeks.
In what space at all?
When 2 weeks,
In
like
2 weeks.
that's where I got that money from. Yeah, and then that doesn't happen for me all the time.
No,
You
no,
know
no,
what I mean?
no,
So,
no,
I'm
literally,
always
yeah.
financially in financial danger, but yeah, there was this open mic there called Porters, and the best actor of the night got £50. I won that. That was great.
Nice.
So that saved me a bit. That was supposed to get my coach home.
What'd you
but-
get for fourth? I might try it out.
No, but this is the thing. Like, that was supposed to be my coach ride home.
Yeah.
I was going to go back to mum and dad's, and I was going to be like, okay, all right. And that's not what happened. What happened was I did a real dodgy mix of drugs, man. I was out. I'd done PCP, man, without even knowing that I'd done it, and I'd done it with 2 ecstasy pills, an acid, and Valium, and Xanax in my system at the same time. So I should have died.
Yeah.
I blacked out. I knocked this woman down some stairs or something like that by mistake, and I was thrown out of this club. My mate had to carry me back. I nearly got run over by a car, and nearly broke my neck. I was battered and bruised because of the way I was falling over, and I was hallucinating, really hallucinating. I was in a completely different space. The only thing I remember is being spoken to by Gretchen from fucking Recess, that old cartoon, you know, the one with the glasses. She was there in the hall with me. He went to his missus's, which was below him in this hall. He'd left the door unlocked, but I never knew, so I'm there in the hall, just on my own. And then I remember seeing Gretchen from this cartoon next to me saying, it'll all be all right. And it's only until recently that I realised that it might have been a real person that concerned.
Oh,
But I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I got the security guard to unlock the door for me, and he never come back. But what I realised is that he had come back. The door was unlocked. I was just in this hall, munging all night.
Yeah.
It's completely blazed, you know. Went in, I had these mad lucid dreams, and I survived that night somehow. And then I remember getting up and going, oh, what day is it, man? And I've forgotten a whole week. Man. A whole week had passed. It was blank. I cannot. You know when Ozzy Osbourne.
That's your body kind of like shut down to go we protect you, otherwise you go into shit again.
Like I don't know what was going on, man, but a whole week had passed without me knowing. I wasn't asleep for the week. It's just that I can't remember.
You may as well have been.
I can't remember. There's just so much that I can't remember. And then finally, I got the help from someone, my uncle's friend. He helped me get. He sent me some money, and then my mate's missus gave me the money to get the coach back.
Yeah.
And while I was in the coach, I decided on that day I wasn't going to take my meds. I was going to take a break. So I was drained. Yeah. I felt so rubbish, and I felt like I've got no money. I've just kind of walked out. My parents They didn't think. This is the funny part as well, is that they didn't think anything of that. They knew that'd come back.
The thing is, though, is like
they didn't ring me up and go, "How you are?" I had one voicemail from my dad that was like, "Just, I hope you're all right. Just keep off the happy pills."
You're on about your concoction up. Like the thing is if your actual prescribed medicine is amphetamines, everything illegal, you can still kind of come down to just being your medication.
Yeah, it can be.
Speed is that, coke's that.
Yeah.
Like, then to be fair, probably the reason you then mix it like PCP and Xanax and stuff, it's probably you're there going, don't want to overdose, gonna try and bring myself down a bit.
In a very weird way, you probably levelled yourself out to a point.
Yeah,
that's probably what your brain shut down.
I was all over the place.
Completely. It wasn't the end of the spectrum where you can have a heart attack.
I used to have a photo of me with my hat, with a beanie on, with my hood with my hood on and a beanie over the hood.
Yeah.
Because that's just how gone I was. Like that, and I was just non-existent for the entire fucking week. But I remember coming back, and there was a guy that was next to me. He was talking to me about music because he had a guitar that he was swapping with someone at the coach station. Yeah. Through like some website or some Facebook page.
Yeah, it's like marketplace.
And he was swapping. He was just doing his trade. But I spoke to him, and he was just like, "Oh, you look like shit, man." That's what he said to me, and I told him the story a bit, and he thought, "That's great. Well, here's a Lucozade." Gave me a Lucozade, and I thought, "There's a bit of humanity."
Yeah.
And then I finally got home.
What sort of Lucozade?
It was orange Lucozade.
Nice. The goat. The goat.
And then I come back home and I was like, "You're right," and they're like, "Yeah, you okay?"
Just like it was
they weren't
like it was fine, and I went upstairs, and I opened my bedroom door. And it was cold in there, man. It was just because it was always with amphetamines, you get what's known as a conditioned place preference.
Okay.
Which I never really touched upon enough, I read very deeply into things a lot.
Obviously.
But this conditioned place preferences is that for a lot of drug users, they associate the drug with the area. So if you sit in this bedroom, my old bedroom, for me, I want to just do drugs all the time when I'm in it.
Okay.
So that was it for me. It was a write-off. I when I went back home, it was no longer home. It wasn't my home anymore. Yeah. But I remember hitting the pillow, man, and I don't have very lucid dreams, really. I don't have nightmares, but I lay down that night and I realised because the amount of Valium I was doing while I was in Cardiff, because I was doing a lot.
You'd have still been in your system.
I was doing about 30, but this is the thing. I was doing it all for the space of 3 months. I was consistent drugs, so the brain chemistry had gotten to a point now where it's gonna teach me a lesson, and I'm telling you now, man. I lay down. This whole sleep paralysis thing. I've never experienced it before. But it wasn't just sleep paralysis, because I've explained this to people, and they still never have given me a full breakdown of what it is. But I lay down, and I was put through just hell, what I could consider to be hell. Like, I was on no drugs, man. Like, it was like I lay down, I put my head down, and I was like, and I started fizzing up. Like, I felt like I was dissolving, man. Like, and I felt like I was like, what is this? And what it is, it's like a serotonin thing. It's like it's like sends like a vibration for your body. And I melted. I felt myself melting, and I got up out of bed and I was like, "What's that sound?" There was like this big siren sound going on in my head, and I stood up out of my bed, and I went to the door, and there's no door. I'm basically going through a nightmare. But it's real. It's real.
So you're fully awake, like you slept in, you're awake.
I don't even know that I'm asleep, man.
Yeah.
And I'm looking around. I'm like,
so you're asleep, but it's so real.
Yeah. So I'm touching the wall. I can feel the walls, and then I turn around. I can see myself in the bed. I left my body, man. Like, I know it sounds so insane, but I left my body.
Do you think he was dead again?
No, I feel like I was dealing with this. It's a withdrawal symptom, I was withdrawing.
It's probably a really harsh combination.
Right.
Yeah.
So what was going on was I was looking around, and this figure appeared, and then that stopped, and then I woke up, and then I heard my mum go, "Sean, the mental health team are here for you." So immediately, my brain had told me that I must be going through what Mum went through.
Yeah.
I must have finally overstepped the boundary.
Yeah.
I must be going mad. And I went downstairs and there was a mental health team there ready to chat to me. And then
This
one
is
of
still
them
the
just...
dream?
Yeah. And then I went upstairs.
Mate.
And then
When you
I'm
just said that,
chatting to
I
him.
presume that like you were making noise in your bedroom and your mum's actually called an ambulance.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. So basically, right, this is going on, right? And it's funny that you say that because I could hear me screaming throughout the entire dream, but nobody else heard a single scream from me that night. But I was screaming, I could hear it, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on. But I felt like I was ill. So I remember going downstairs and chatting to this mental health team. It seemed quite nice, but one seemed quite really nasty to me and was saying all the wrong things. And then one of them disappeared. And this is dark, man, but I remember going upstairs and going, what's going on? Where's the other guy? And then I heard like banging and that upstairs. And I went upstairs, and in the dream, my little sister was being fucking completely just mauled to death and raped by this bloke. So I grabbed a screwdriver and started stabbing him, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And then, boom, I'm in my room again. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
What is going on? But I can hear all these screams, right? And then this big ass motherfucking, I don't know what it was, man. It was like, I don't watch horror movies, man, but this thing, man, just comes at me. Like, it was like something out of Stranger Things. And it grabs me by the neck and it pulls me, and I felt myself come out of my body, and it turned me round and it went, look, like in this demonic ass voice, like proper saying, and I was like, what the fuck? And it pulled the bed sheets down, and I watched myself start decomposing, and I could smell it and I could feel it and everything like this, and all this was going on in my head. And I woke up and I ran downstairs and I cried to my parents. And they were like, you'll be okay. And I said to my mother, is this what you've had to go through? It's quite a deep moment, really, but I said, is this what you've had to experience? So I grabbed her and hugged her, and my dad was like, it's all the drugs. It's all fucking drugs. Go to sleep it off. It's all the drugs. He was really angry, but he was right.
The thing is, though, it's like, when...
It doesn't end there either, by the way.
But when someone, when you're talking about your sister then, you grabbed a screwdriver and... If you were awake and you're having this serious psychosis episode, that's someone who could just walk down the street and when you hear someone does an horrific thing in the street where they'll just saw someone's head, chop someone's head off or stab them with a screwdriver.
That's a fear, man.
But almost if you were awake and you'd have had that same in the street, you could have done the same to a random person because you're not in the mind frame that a person who normally walks in the street.
That's very rare. I mean, that a lot of the time that's accredited to severe schizophrenia.
I think we'll have a break there. Yeah, we'll have a break there. I know my phone's ringing. I need a fucking break.
Yeah, same.
Well, back to part 2. We're just going to pick up from where we left off because it was...
Yeah, man.
Yeah, sir.
What was the story?
We were talking about the nightmares where I saw myself decompose.
Just put it that bluntly.
Yeah, you know what? It was
Have
you ever bought a bag of Haribos on a hot day and they've all stuck together?
Yeah. Okay.
Have you ever done that? And you're like, why are they all matter? That's literally what I look like. Just a bit more violent and bludgeoned.
Fuck.
But anyway,
you'd be a great wrestling character.
Bludgeoning.
The Fiend, man.
I'd be the bludgeoner. I know.
The Duggan.
Oh, the Dudgeoner.
The Dudgeoner. Well, you know what my gamer tag always was? Duggernaut.
Nice.
Juggernaut.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Boss.
It's alright. It's passable.
It's a bit shit.
Those 12-year-olds.
A bit wanky. No, my 12-year-old email address was seanisagod@hotmail.com.
That's sick. One was Ryan is a rocker. Swear to God,
I'm a rocker, and that's what I am.
Mine's been Mark Walls 55 for the last God knows how long. Mark Big Dick.
So you were decomposing.
Yeah. So anyway, this demonic dream demon was like, look at yourself. And it was just tormenting me all night. I even had the famous succubus dream where this woman was on top of me, demonic, horrible woman. And you see this, they say that sleep paralysis. You know what? I felt everything. It was horrible. It was like I was being raped. Sorry. But she was, that was creepy. That was she crawled onto the bed and that, and I'm like, who the fuck are you? And then she went all evil. Like, I'm like, what the fuck's going on here?
Have you ever... Okay, this is a weird tangent. You know CM Punk, the wrestler?
Yeah.
He's done a horror film. It's on Netflix. It's kind of a similar thing. Like, he gets seduced by this hot girl. It ends up being like a demon that wants him. Like,
like stuff like that. Like, it's in lore, folklore, and everything. But like, this was just boggling my brain. Now I say like sleep paralysis is only supposed to last a couple of seconds and that, but this wasn't, man. These were like by the hour dreams. I could like account how many dreams happened, and they were all about an hour in length. So I was experiencing these dreams viscerally and abhorrently, you know, they were horrible. And then after a while, I got out of bed and I was like, okay, am I awake? I was wobbling, man. I was like, ooh. And then I turned around to see that this big just mound of death and evil and destruction was in front of me again. And I went, no, fuck this. I punched it. I'm not kidding you. I punched it. Like I could really do it in the room, and it burst into a rainbow. Like, this is why it gets even more fucked up. Burst into a rainbow. Burst into this rainbow of colours and opened this whole fucking world. I've been playing, like, obviously because I love Zelda and that.
Yeah.
I'm running around this fucking lucid world. I could take control of it. And I had the most, like, it's really weird because all these demonic things happened. But then I had all these deep dreams about exploring the beauty of life.
Yeah.
It was almost like someone had taught me what yin and yang was and what the balance of life is in just this one night of me trying to get to sleep. And don't get me wrong,
but
my
you
mind...
can't be that high for that long and then not have a come down as well.
My mind was boggled for a long time after that. That's when I really locked myself away and really wrote some of the most obscene songs that I've ever written. I tried to make a record out of it and then kind of fell through, but I've got like demos of this song. I've got this song called Chemical Soul, which is supposed to demonstrate the journey. And it's just too proggy to release, really. I hopefully I've got time in a bit. Hopefully we do, because I'd love to show you the track. Because it is just one of the... Again, it's one of the best things I've ever done, but it's not too commercially viable.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, we don't do the commercially viable.
This is the thing. I mean, the idea that all these dreams had suddenly gone from violent and nightmarish into this beautiful other thing. It was almost like my brain going, this is the darkness in life, and this is the this is the low point. But on the other side of that, on the flip side of the coin, you can't have what could be considered evil without what could be considered good. And even that's subjective. So this balance, this weighted balance of dreams that I was having completely changed my life in one night. And I woke up and I felt horrific. I mean, I carried on. This is the thing. Like, I carried on, still doing what I was doing, and I even tried to get them dreams again, and I still do to this day because I'd like to experience them and that. I was trying to astral project. I was even like using binaural beats to try and do this astral projection thing, but it just wasn't happening. It was almost like if there is another plane, I saw it that day.
That was them coming.
I saw it that day, and I've told so many people, like, that one thing I have told people, a lot of people, is that one night the night that I'm talking about, all this happened, and it was just bizarre. Like, it was bizarre, life altering, changed my whole perception of everything. It was like the death of the old me and the start of the new, and even then I still had to, because luckily enough, a couple of months down the line I'd then meet my missus and it settled and everything was great. And even then at uni, because it was so easy to just get drugs and just get smashed and that, it started dissipating because nothing can ever match those moments. So any drug experience that I have now doesn't mean a thing, whereas back then it would have meant a thing because I was learning something about myself.
Would you rather have like a 10 out of 10 bad experience on drugs than like a 3 out of 10 good experience on drugs then?
Well, yeah. So what I'd say is that if I was to do LSD now, why am I doing it? There's no reason. It's just because I want to do LSD. Whereas before, I felt like there was a reason for me to explore these things because I needed to experience these things.
But you have, and
and I have. But like it all like, it was this one moment that it led up to, and it was almost like I can't get to that moment. There's no need to. I learned so much from that one moment that was so bizarre. Bizarre, man. Like, I know it sounds like it's hard to talk to people about it sometimes because it sounds like utter shit. It sounds like just madness. But obviously I was dreaming. Obviously it was just chemical reaction. I was lying in my bed asleep. Really, when you really think about it, that's what was happening.
Yeah.
But what was happening?
If there's a camera in the room, nothing's happening. You're all asleep.
But what was happening within was so real. It was like I'd left what we are now in, and I experienced something completely different. And I really desperately tried to get it again. I mean, a couple of months later, I was dealing with severe depression, depression at the lowest of lows. Does
that come from the ADHD as well? Because your serotonin
well, yeah.
low.
Well, it's because
Dopamine.
It wasn't. The thing is, it's because I'd done so many drugs that affected my serotonin that I was so depressed as well. So I was super depressed.
So you hadn't suffered with depression before?
Yeah. Well, no. I suffered with depression pretty much all my life since my mother was ill, really. Yeah. But I'm gonna go. I can go into it, I suppose, really, but I was just shagging all the time. I was looking for love all the time, and I'm the sort of guy that will, when people have this thing and they say it's the body count and that, and it doesn't mean a thing. You can have sex with 3 people and it doesn't really matter, right? You can have sex with 300 people and it's the fucking most loneliest thing I've ever done. It's like the most loneliest thing I've ever done in my life is look for love and sleep with countless different women time after time. It's not this big whole, oh, look at me, I'm a guy, look at me, I'm smashing it. That's not what it is at all. It's, I had a lot of sex because we like sex, right? Yeah. But what happened is that I was doing this and I was lying in bed at night with whoever it was, thinking, this person doesn't give a shit about me, this person doesn't know me. Yeah. This is no depth to it, you know. And then but then I go to, by the time I got to uni, people were doing all these drugs thinking they were experiencing, oh, look at me, oh, I'm only ever playing, man. I've seen the light, man.
The thing is, bro, with that, it's like when...
And it's not, it's just some drugs.
I imagine there might be people that come on this podcast and talk about drug use, and it will be a posturing thing, it will be a peacocking thing, and it will be like an arrogant thing, like, oh yeah, I'll do all this, and like, you can tell it's for an image, like, not at any point have you ever come across like that, because you're going, yeah, I've done it, but like, mate, it's not fucking cool, like,
I say it's missing the point. I mean, even, I don't berate drugs. I'm pro. I'm pro drug. I'm absolutely pro drug. There needs to be. It's just there's a control. Yeah. I was experiencing something, but the one thing that angers me about drug use, really, the only thing that angers me about it is people missing the point. If you know anything about like the Beatles and the Stones and the Who and anyone's reasoning for using drugs, painters and that, there's a reason for it because they're trying to bring the subconscious to the forefront. They're looking for that, and you can do that with stream of consciousness and all that. But there's an experience will create knowledge, and that knowledge can then be put to page and then used.
To people that listen to the records that haven't experienced that.
Yeah. So the idea is, it's like, well, the Beatles are singing about acid and that, but I haven't done it. So where's my connection?
But they make it sound like you're on acid whilst listening to
exactly.
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds,
and that's the idea, but the thing is, it's a personal thing, and I've realised now that I've thought that most people did drugs because they were searching. Yeah. And I still think they don't know. So when these people feel like they've reached a higher plane and that they know more than you just because they've just done a bit of acid, it's all bullshit, man. It's like, what have they taken away from the experience? It's because they say, right, that drugs make you write good songs. No, it's the aftermath. It's the aftermath in which you write the songs. You won't see anyone do a good studio take, coked up off their heads. It's the aftermath. It's the realization. It's the realization that did nothing for me, but this is how I felt. It did a lot for me, really. I mean, like, really, they did amazing things, and I saw amazing things, and I felt amazing things. But I was then looking for these. But after that moment, that night, I was looking for these buzzes and doing all these different drugs and that, and nothing really quite felt the same. And then I tried Xanax, which was just not great, because that day I tried to hang myself, and no one really knows this, but I put this big long ass message up on Facebook, like, this is before I met you guys, like, it's only like 3 or 4 months before I met you. I tried to hang myself, and I ran upstairs because I went and met someone, and I was supposed to be going on some date, and I thought it was a date, and it wasn't, and that was fine with me. I was like, okay, well, it's not a date, whatever. And then but that was fine, like I was like, okay, cool, because I thought this girl was going to bring a friend along or something like that, and that never happened. So I went out with this girl, and I went to the pub. We were having a drink and that, and I was a bit high really. But this guy comes over, and when I'm having a conversation with him, there's 3 of us there that I didn't really know that well, but I was trying to connect with and make friends. I just wanted to make friends. I mean, this is like a moment of like where I felt super embarrassed, because this guy intercepts with his mates and they kind of pushed me out of the circle, and I just thought, you snidey fuckers, So I just said, I was talking, this guy kind of takes a swing for me out of the blue. I missed, and then I headbutted him like really hard and just KO'd him. And then I had to run out of the club because of, he was on the floor just out of it, and I was like, oh no, what have I just done? And I ran back home, and then all the Xanax that I'd taken, and I'm not really that experienced with it, started kicking in. I was like, oh shit. And then blackout again, and then I'm at my mum and dad's. And I ran upstairs and smashed my bedroom up, and obviously they've heard that, and the ruckus has started. So they then run up the stairs and they go, what are you doing? My brother's there, my sister's there, I think, my mother's there, my dad's there. And my dad had to physically jump on me and just kind of restrain me a little bit, and I was going, I want to die, I was screaming, And then blackout again. He'd obviously
why
settled.
the want to die though? So obviously you said you've gone to this pub, you looking forward to this date that wasn't a date, you got embarrassed.
I got embarrassed of a moment because I thought that maybe I'd have a chance for this person, she was supposed to bring a friend along, but she didn't, and then we went to the pub anyway. I'd kind of misinterpreted it, which has not really happened before. I felt okay with it, obviously. And then after that, I kind of felt embarrassed because I'd hit this guy, and I'm not that kind of person, really. Love or not a fight kind of thing. The only reason I think, well, you know what, it's speculation. Like I say, I tried to hang myself, but I woke up with a belt around my neck, basically, and a bit of a bruise. So I must have tried something. But there was no one there. I woke up in a room on my own, and then I looked on Facebook and I'd put fucking just this harrowing big long ass status, because
Same what?
I can't remember, man. I wish I had it, because it would have been something that I would have slapped in my journal and kept it. But the amount of people that reached out to me, even this person that I was really fond of came in a car, and she came and picked me up and we had a chat. And she showed me these letters of when she was at her lowest point, and they were quite harrowing from her, and I wouldn't have thought that of her.
Was it your lowest point then?
So I was this was my lowest point, and I was chatting to her, and it was like a closure on her as well, because I got on with her so well, and I had this admiration for her. It's actually kind of loosely what I wrote. She's got it all figured out.
Okay.
She's an Irish girl, so obviously, I'm an Irish lad. I quite like I quite like that. But we were just mates, but. She was going to be a geologist, like a scientist, and she actually
had
did
it all figured out.
So she moved to Canada in the end, and I did I did really like her, and I had that admiration for somebody that could just leave it all behind and move on, and after that I thought, okay, well, I'll stay clean for a while, and I did, and I struggled.
Without you even prescribed meds? Or?
Yeah, no, I took I still take them today. I still take them because they help, but I know the chemistry, and this is why they haven't taken me off them. I must touch on that. Like, you would have thought they would have said, you're not allowed these anymore. But because I knew the chemistry behind it, and I could prove exactly that I knew what I was doing, they could allow me to carry on. And then obviously I met my missus. Through basically, I met my missus through Instagram, but she was.
Did you slip in her DMs or the other?
No, it was me. I was drunk and perverted. She'll tell you that. As well. But I'm not a proper man. It's only so far I can go. But
we'll leave that. We'll leave that.
But
you're happy now.
The funny thing about that story is that she'd not been with anyone properly before. I'm only a second partner. She's 9 months older than me, so it's kind of like a new scary thing for her. She'd seen someone, and he was somebody that had been with like a cousin of mine, which is But I'm not close to her. But he's an abusive guy, and obviously because he was connected to my cousin, I think the algorithms of Instagram brought her to me somehow. So she followed me, and I messaged her, and that was it. I just said, I hear some of my music. And I great,
cheeky plug.
Basically.
She's got it all figured out, but the next one could be about you.
But one day I'm kind of like a bit. I think I was hungover. I was just chatting to her, and I realised that she was really interesting. We started having a chat, And the first date we had, she brought her sister and her sister's boyfriend along. I get on with them like a house on fire, like, but I thought, why she brought these?
Is she quite intellectual then to compete?
She's a wonderful human being. She's been through a hell of a lot.
Okay.
Right, if you think my story's dark, I mean, it's not my place to tell you about her story,
of
but hers is just as dark, if not darker, and just as harrowing, but she's not a drug user or a musician, you know. She's just a girl.
A nice girl,
a lovely human being with like, honestly.
You always look so happy.
I mean, it's probably been my wife, like, without a shadow of a doubt. Like, one day, you just know, like, when
don't tell her that now, man. We want to be there at the engagement.
No, but I've said this to her, like, it's
one of them. Your wedding.
Yeah, man. Do
it.
Each.
No, because I want to play at my wedding.
You'll be back in singing for me, man.
No, I want to play at the wedding as well. I want to, like, set up a band and that if I had, you know.
Sick.
I can't afford a wedding.
I'll do
it. Like minus £30 in the bank, you know. But I met her and it just kind of, you know, made everything easier, you know. But I told her from the get go pretty much what kind of person I was and what I'd just been through.
Do you reckon you'd behave if it wasn't for her?
I reckon I'd still be struggling to this day, really badly.
You think you'd be in a dark
so I took control of it.
So you
I
might not be.
I had a purpose because not only did it come with her, it came with a dog, with a little Yorkshire Terrier dog. Like I fell in love with.
Dog.
Yeah.
You laugh, but like that is something.
Yeah.
Like,
we said this about, like, I jokingly said about Cooper, like when Harry was on, he was on about like his kid and like he wrote lyrics about like only see rain in the dark days and stuff.
Yeah.
But to be fair, like if I'm having a bad day, like, if I go and see Cooper for 10 minutes, like, it's a Labrador, like, but he's like a little human to me, like, and he's
exactly.
my human, like,
you fall in love with them, but it's not just that. Even it's the first, like, I walked into her house, and she lived there with her older sister who moved out eventually. She had a baby and moved out, but they had 5 dogs, man. There was just like a proper working class household, and I was not expecting it, and it was almost like relief. Weight off the shoulders.
You don't have to try and be someone.
I don't have to try and be someone I don't have to be. So I was completely honest from the get go. She's from Brandall, like she's from like Albury area.
Oh yeah, I know where that is.
So she's only round the corner from where.
From you.
Yeah, that's what. So you know, and we hit it off pretty much straight away. We get on, and that's just how it's been since. But during the period of time that I was chatting to her, one day I'd just come off a gnarly session as well, like in Digbuff, and I walked into ACM because I used to go to ACM when it was AMS, which is Academy of Music and Sound, and I walked in because I wanted to use the vending machine because I know they had them, you know. So I just said, look, I want to use your vending machine. I hope you don't mind. And I spoke to Matt behind the counter, and they're like, oh, how you doing, man? You know, I told him, you know, bits and bobs, and he was like, you know, you can study here if you want. You know, just based on experience, you've probably got enough now. You know, with your bend drum and your work, and I was like, nah. You know, and he was like, well, I'll send you a link anyway. And he did.
They sending you a college course, by the way?
Huh? No, this was a...
So it was uni before ACM was?
No, I did. I went there for college. I did level 3.
Yeah, it's like BTEC.
Like BTEC. And I never even finished that either. Didn't finish school, college, or uni.
Yeah.
But I went in and he was just like, you can come and do university. And I was like, okay, then I'll give it a go. Never really thought that it would actually happen because I didn't think things worked like that. But because I was over 21, there's a bracket you can use experience to get into university at times, and that's what got me in. And I was highly doubtful of it, but the fact that I'd just gone through all that and I was now going to university, it was mad. This is 1 year, dude. This is
mad jump.
This is like from January 2018 to like
stuff on the
I'm talking to September. That big stretch of months, and not to mention that, like even like going up to like the house party that I ended up throwing with all the people from uni, which I don't know if you were at.
No, I don't think I
was.
But it was quite famous. But it was like a famous moment for us because we had 103 people in a flat, man. like with drum and bass and everything. It was mad.
Sounds like my idea
That's what
he
was like Stella was there and stuff like that. It was mad.
Yeah.
It was great, you know, and it was hell, you know, because I hadn't done drums.
The weird demon thing.
I hadn't done, you know, like the monkey from Family Guy.
Did you knob it?
Yeah, but fucking, yeah, like that, just that thing. It was almost like the universe sending me a sign, and it just seemed so significant at that moment. I'm still trying to figure out what kind of signs it's trying to send me now. Because it will never be as apparent as what that was. Because funnily enough, I went to uni, but it never worked out. So what's next?
Mate, the thing is,
there's got to be something.
I had something similar to that when I was probably about a year and a half ago. I was quite low just about music in general. My band was going to shit and all that. And I remember being in my bed going, like, if there's a fucking universe to talk to, give me a sign. Like,
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm going, there's no potential sign that you could give me. Like,
I'll take
there's
a
nothing on the horizon.
comfort into knowing that other people do that, because
but
I do that all the
bro,
time.
I literally, I was there
Talk
like,
to Robin.
give me something.
Yeah.
Day later, 2 opportunities that I've been working 2 years for, which was to play on Raw Sound TV and get a gig with this feeling, the promotion company. That the day after I asked this universe, both of them emailed me back, even though I tried for 2 years to get a reply. At that point, I've gone, I'm going to be a fucking rock star then, and obviously, long story short is that, like, as soon as I had these booked in, pandemic happened, did Raw Sound, so I haven't done this feeling, but to get that initial sign when I've needed it the most, like, yeah, to be fair, I think I've asked them since and they haven't replied to me, but to be fair, like, I've already got it, like, that's my takeaway to go, I'm doing music,
But
like.
this is like me, like, at the moment, I'm really trying to, like, get the right, like, where can I go? Like, where how can... Because, like, people aren't, like, the thing is, I know what I've got is good, you know, I hate to say it sometimes, but what I've got something, I've got a real... a body of work
which you do.
I have a body of work that's insane, mate.
The thing is, outside looking in, like, you've sent me a lot of your stuff, so you've sent me a couple of records worth. I know you're a fucking brilliant songwriter. Your vocals, one of few in Birmingham, I'd put as like the top tier, like, probably Nat Jenkins from Hunger Moon and Sean are like, I'd class as a pinnacle. God forbid you then put your guitar work in, because it's as good as any other soul. Like, I class myself as a guitar player rather than a singer, but like, you're as good, if not better, as a guitar player than me, but then you still have the voice that some people are just a singer, like, you still have that. But, you know, when people talk about, like, bands on the scene and, like, artists, like, there's a bracket, like, your name's never, doesn't really
it's just
come
never
up.
there, you know, and that's how I feel.
But hey, for me, like, that's
honest,
frustrating hearing your story and, again, hearing your music going, mate, people fucking know about you, like, there's no stopping you, but, like, you just not... People just don't bring your name into that at the moment.
But people don't know, you know. It's because maybe I don't. I'm not very good at getting it there. You know, I'm not very good at getting the right, I suppose, right connections or doing the right gigs. That's all it is. I mean, like, because that, what you say and what people say to me, like that, like, I feel that.
Mate, we know
I have to. I have to deal with that, and that's, as an artist, it's painful. You know, it is painful. You know, in that I had to go through all this, and sometimes it just feels like I'm doing it for fuck all, you know. It is mad, you know. I mean, because going back to that, you know, time, you know, after I met my missus and that, I think, you know, a year later, the reason I stopped really caning drugs was because of the night that you come to my gig. Believe it or not, like, the next day, because I'd just been caning it, I had the worst anxiety attack ever. I nearly went nuts again. And I went, okay, that's it, man. So I went to the gym, right, for 3 months, and I've been on and off for years. So I've got the most insane muscle memory you've ever seen.
You posting that, because I think
so
after that gig, you get posted like you've gone to the gym and everything.
Yeah.
Like,
so I just went boom and just become muscle bound.
And you were massive, to be fair.
I became massive, like, I was, like, just really quick, because that's just obsessive nature, bang on it.
You have to do it.
But it like proper cured me, like, real cured me, man. Like, made me healthy again, and then I went back to Cardiff. You know, just to reflect, you know, and I met some of the best musicians, man. There's some great musicians up there. The music scene in Cardiff is just fucking fat, man. Everywhere you go at night, it's got a live band on, pretty much.
I've only been twice. One was to see Ben Howard, the other one's to the Amazon, so I've never actually been.
It's great. It's so cheap to get to as well, especially if you go by coach. You can get for like £8 sometimes. But I met, you know, these buskers that my mate was hanging out with, and one of them's an Inuit, which means he was a native Canadian. But he was raised, you know, in Wales. And this guy looked like Jared Leto meets Johnny Depp, and he had this steampunk gear on.
So it's a bit like you then.
He was cool. No,
like a god.
no, this guy was so cool, man. He just did this gorgeous, stunning music, but no one knows who he is. He was like a wizard, man. And at the end of my trip there, because I'd been busking with him and drinking with him for the past 4 days, he said, "I bless you this penny." He goes, in our, you know, he said like loads of philosophical things to me, like, don't sing to the child. You know, they're the biggest critic.
You still have the penny?
Well, this is the thing, right? I pass the penny on because that's what you're supposed to do. When you're done with it, you're supposed to pass it on. But he said, in his culture, here's your penny. I need good things from you. I expect them.
Is that like penny for your thoughts comes from then?
think so, yeah. But he told me that like this is to ensure that something good will happen for you one day, and when you feel done with it, just pass it on. And I passed it on. I passed it on to Jamie Russell, and he passed it on to Matt. But then after he passed it on, I don't know if he was ready to pass it on. I don't know if he took it serious because what happened was he got stung by a bee. His missus went into labour, and his car broke down the same day after he gave the penny away.
So he wasn't ready to pass it on?
Yeah, I don't think so. Like, but I feel like there was something in it. And every now and then I think to myself, did I pass it on too early? I've got to do something, man. But
did anything happen to you once you passed it on?
No. Just in fact, I got booked for all them gigs and made a load of money doing gigs.
Oh, okay.
But it dried up after that. It dried up, and I don't know.
If you'd held it for another week,
and then
and
then 6 months after that, pandemic happens, and I was learning how to drive during the pandemic. So I was being sent all these signs because I never would have. I never want to drive really.
Oh mate, I genuinely the idea of having lessons again gives me like
panic attacks.
Like I'm not meant to be driving a car.
I hate it. I hate driving instructors. I hate them.
Yeah.
I hate them with all my.
I had one really good one, and it was my first one, and then the issue was I got nearly to the point of passing my test, and then I moved to university.
Yeah.
Come back. It took me about a year and a half to build up the courage to go back into a car. Got in there, mate. Like I tell you, that like he was a lovely bloke who's to the left of me, and all I'm doing is swearing, basically just having a meltdown while he's going 50 cents on the gas, and I'm there going, fuck this, like, I can't fucking function. He's like, pull over. Like I'm there going, I can't fucking do it. I don't want to fucking do it. Like, and I'm literally having a meltdown. Get back home. How's your lesson, Mark? Fucking shit. Like, go into my room, nearly crying because I just didn't want to ever be put in that situation.
Yeah. That's exactly
and
how
I've still
I
got
felt.
to try and learn again.
And I felt that as at my age now, pretty much. This is 2020, and I was learning how to drive. So, and then pandemic.
Yeah.
But I think, like you said, I mean, it's just hard. I want my name to be out there more. People need to hear it now. I mean, I've got this album coming out. The first one's coming out on the 23rd of April.
Is it A and B coming first? Or
A and B is coming first, and then I'm just
God.
going to launch this second one soon, man, because it's like this version of A and B. It was produced. It was done by Jamie, but it was then reproduced by Tom Walker. Because he said he wanted to just do a mix.
As in the blues going more.
Yeah. So he's done a nice
the guy that sings "Leave a Light on" that Ryan hates.
Yeah. So it's great. That's why he's had to change his name to Thomas Atlas. So he did it. So now that's going out on Spotify. Hopefully nothing comes of that silly fucking label, which we haven't touched on. But fuck you.
The thing is, mate, it's like I'm in a position now. I don't have a band. There's not many people in Birmingham at the moment that can write 10, 15 songs, 20 songs, 30 songs that are all good. Me and him have openly had conversations. He's there going, well, what do you want for your single? I'm like, I don't want a single, I want to release an album. Like, I'm a songwriter. I write songs in bulk.
Yeah.
You're probably the only other person I put in that bracket. Like,
yeah, you do 2 at a time usually. Yeah. Usually once you've written one, there's one that follows, and it's almost like it's related to
yeah,
man, I like that. Yeah. That's what that's about. An insight into A to B, right? You know, if you have a look at the cover, the guitar is in
great
the
cover, by the way.
It's
like Begin Again. It's like the front cover of Begin Again.
I made him do that day. I saw it. I looked in front of the car. I was like, I'm gonna put the guitar in the driver's seat, and I'm gonna be next to it.
Because you got fucking drive.
That's what it's supposed to be. And the picture, he just couldn't get it right, and I was just like, no, that's not what you do. But then I realised that you could crop the picture to do exactly what I had in my head, like like a fucking cinematic.
I haven't seen it.
Kind of picture.
It's a great cover. Really is a great cover.
But but that was the idea, is that music kind of drives me. But I'm kind of at a place now where I'm in a good position where I've got loads of stuff coming. Yeah. But it needs to be handled correctly.
We'll use this as a point of transition. So we obviously talked about your upbringing, your mental health, and I suppose the journey you've gone on with drugs. The thing that maybe people that are watching through the camera don't know at the moment is, like, again, how great of a songwriter you are. So maybe this is a time we transition to kind of go beyond the process of it.
I want to be that. You know what my biggest dream is? It's not fame. Like I'm okay with not ever being famous, really, but I'd love it. because I speak to myself.
Drugs and Grammys.
I give myself interviews on the toilet sometimes, you know, and it's really weird.
I do that, but with Football Manager.
Yeah.
I'm managing balls, be 2-0 down. I'm there on the toilet having a shit going. Well, we haven't come out of the box. But you know what, boys? We can rally round. We go again.
You know what? That's I do.
That's what my real passion is.
And I do that, and I just get so hyperactive about it, and you know, because there really is a bit like a balmy side to me, like, as you know, like, but like. I want to be recognised as a songwriter, and like not. I don't want to write. You know, I don't want to really write songs for like other people per se, unless I have to.
Because no one can sing your stories like you do.
Yeah, because the songs that I play and I write for me are for me. But if I had to write for other people, then I'd write them for them.
Nah, fuck that.
You know, we should be fine. But
sod that, bro.
my songwriting is It's just such a cocky thing to say, really, but as a singer and a guitar player and a bass player, harmonica player, and a drummer, which is what I am.
Play harmonica?
I play harmonica.
Bro, I just brought one in E flat. I've been trying to
Pass
play.
it.
No, he's not spitting on my harmonica, bro.
Come on, you cleaning out?
I'm good, man.
Oh, mate. Yeah, but it's good to know that you've got.
Do you want to stand on them?
It'll be healthy. Don't worry. I'm not a dribble on it. I don't need the stand. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, it's a bitch to get out, bro.
It's
Took me about 30 minutes to put in, so cheers for ripping it
It's
out.
one of them.
Oh, mate, that's
I've been learning for like 2 days. You just killed me.
It's my party trick, though. No one knows I play harmonica.
Oh, mate, that's brilliant.
Because
bro.
who the fuck plays harmonica?
Ryan Adams, Bob Dylan,
Bob Dylan.
Sean Duggan, and Mark Bradley.
This is Bob Dylan. that's Dylan. That's the only reason I learned how to play harmonica.
I told you it's a dick to put in. Sorry, mate.
Just
Sorry,
leave
it's
it, mate. We'll
fine.
do it.
It'll be okay.
Yeah,
It'll
it's
be
okay.
okay.
I'll rinse it in Dettol.
We're
We're in a COVID world, bro. As he's coughing and snoring, they're going,
Fuck
no,
it.
I'll blow on your harmonica, mate, soon. Does the train that we've just been learning about.
But yeah, I'd just like to be recognised as a songwriter, man.
See, that's weird because you two are the same.
We are basically the same.
Whereas I'm completely based off venues. I
Yeah.
only want to play big venues.
Yeah, I'd love to.
The artists that I adore, so Mark Ballin's one of them from
Yeah,
T-Rex.
of course.
In the 11 years he was active, I think about 12 albums. Or if he's like active for 10 years, it was like 13 albums.
Yeah.
Prolific as fuck.
A lot.
Ryan Adams, active for 25 years, probably got about 30 albums. Bowie, Alice Cooper, 40 odd 50 year career, 35 albums. Like,
I'm very similar. Like
I don't care about anything other than the fact that, like, again, I think the reason I do music is because that there's a part of me that knows that music lives on forever.
yeah,
Ideally, it's not to my 5 friends that listen to my tracks.
yeah, I agree with that.
But at the same time, it's like if I die in 10 years' time, 15 years' time, God forbid 50 years' time with these knees, like if I'm leaving knowing that there's 25 albums that might get passed down to a kid the same way that I was passed down T-Rex,
exactly.
and it shaped my life. Like I want to give 25 albums that people dig into.
I've left in my journal because I've got this journal which is pretty cool that I filled in from, like, I'd say just 2019 to the end of 2020, and I decided to go back to it the other day and leave messages to my future children.
Oh, okay.
No, in case, and grandchildren. I said to any of my descendants, like, if they read it, because that's my idea, to preserve it. Because it's got lyrics in there, man. Not only that, but I thought if I had kids and they could take the songs maybe one day, if they are musicians, I would like the idea that maybe one day the body of work that I've created can be viewed as possibly a potentially important snapshot of time. You know, like you said, like my favourite, like Bob Dylan is one of mine.
Yeah.
Bob Dylan, Van Morrison, without a shadow of a doubt, Van Morrison.
I haven't listened to
And
it.
that's only recent. I mean, you got to listen to Astral Weeks. You got to listen to Van Morrison. That might change you as you might not like him, but if you like him, it's gonna change you as a songwriter, because you'll find Bruce Springsteen's favourite album was Astral Weeks. Jeff Buckley's favourite album was Astral Weeks.
But you've got to
My
give you
favourite
Ryan Adams,
album.
bro. Ryan Adams will change your life.
I like Ryan Adams, you know.
Yes.
You know, but like I haven't listened to him in the same way
Do you
that
know
you
the
have.
song New York, New York?
I've heard bits
bro, it's basically
I've
you.
run out. Yeah, right. See,
It's quick.
I don't have like, you know, I just haven't sat down and listened to him.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Springsteen as well. I haven't listened to enough Springsteen. I've listened to his first 2 albums and they blew me away. Only about 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And I want to do it again. You know, and I mean, for me, it was like really the proper songwriters that I really got into in my 20s. Where you're talking Van Morrison, he changed everything, like game changer for me. But I was into things like Radiohead as a kid. I loved Radiohead. I loved, you know, Smashing Pumpkins. You know, the Beatles, the Who. But the Who, like everything Townsend writes on Quadrophenia shaped me as a person. Yeah. You know, I love that line. There's a song called "Cut My Hair," and obviously Quadrophenia is about 1964. It's there's a release.
It was the soundtrack of the film, wasn't it?
So, well, actually, the film is based on the album.
Oh, okay.
So the album tells the story of what happens in the film. So the film is 1979, but the album is 1973. It's about a kid that basically he has 4 different personalities, and they all relate to a member of the band. But he's a kid that's growing up during the mod era of 1964. So it all culminates in them going to the beaches and having the fight and that. But there's a line in it, and it's on track 4, "Cut My Hair" it's called. It goes, why should I care if I have to cut my hair? I've got to move with the fashion of the outcast. The kids at school have parents that seem so cool. And though I don't want to hurt them, mine want me their way. So he's talking about he's a mod because he has to be, but he doesn't want to be. He doesn't want to fit into this clique, you know, he doesn't. And I feel like we all have that. You know, I say to this very day that I was never an emo, and then I look back and realise I was well into grunge and that, and I had long emo hair. That essentially makes me a type of emo, really. Just because I wasn't into like Avenged Sevenfold and that didn't make me not a part of a clique, and I was a part of one. So at a time when I thought, I wasn't a part of any subgenre, I'm so sad. I was, and I didn't even know it, and that's how naive you can be.
I want to raise this question actually, because you mentioned obviously you struggled with school and. You kind of hinted the fact you didn't have friends. Mark and Moose, they're older than you.
They're later friends, you know.
Like, have you ever had that social group where you've got like best mates from school?
I did like at secondary school, but they dissipated after when I broke up with my first girlfriend.
They her friends that you got to know?
Yeah, well, no, they were my friends, but we'd all known each other. So like, they all went to the same primary school and then to the same secondary school. We were all basically kids with problems, so we all went to like special schools basically. But it was more like behavioural and like autistic based.
Is it? We had
So
we had one boy. It's basically the kids that they want to kick out of school. They send them. It's not a special school, but it's it's for the people that they can't cope with, isn't it?
Yeah, but some of the kids as well came from a special school as well. So so yeah, they all knew each other. But what happens is you find that you grow and people grow. If people either grow with the time that you're living in or they don't, and a lot of them they're in the same predicament, doing the same things, living the same days, and you go beyond.
What's day-to-day life at that school like?
So you live. It's the same. It's just your classrooms are smaller.
Is it carnage?
It's like no, not really. It's like 11 kid classrooms, and you get more angry kids than you would elsewhere. Yeah. That's all really, but it's not that chaos. Because
and you like proper like bullies and stuff, or just...
No, because you know everybody was sound with each other and the staff were great. It was only when they started changing the school. Now it's a violent hellhole, as I've heard.
Oh, okay.
Because a massive Tory bastard ended up running the school and changed not a single member of staff now work there since I've left. They've all gone. Which is a shame because they saw a school they valued and they loved to get destroyed by this bold twat.
To work in schools like that, my dad worked in a special school. Like, you go there wanting to make a difference.
Yeah.
I had a teacher at my school, and like, I never struggled.
You know the ones that care.
I never struggled with school really, but this guy, he was a what did he teach? He did maths, and he became like one of the head of years. But he was one of the best guitar players I've ever seen. Yeah. And it was Mr. Gardner. His son works at guitar, and his son's in like a heavy metal band. Mr. Gardner was one of the best blues players you never see. Like,
nice man.
And
it's on Mr. Bay.
And genuinely, like the amount of times that,
we didn't have that. I'd surpassed our music teacher.
I'd get taken out of a lesson or something because I couldn't be arsed. Gardner would see me and go, "Come to my office." Never in trouble. And he'd be there. He'd pass me like his son's CD and go, That's his new album. And we just literally, we talked like, because the thing he always said about his son was that like, his son played like drop D and stuff.
Yeah.
Gardner was a blues player. So actually me and him would have the chats that he probably always wanted to have with his son.
Yeah.
So we talk about rock and roll, we talk about like
Well,
all these great bands.
My,
and, like,
my uncle Sean, he's a blues player. Honestly, right, if you think that my name not being known much, I mean, my uncle Sean, do you know, what were they called now? I can't remember the name. But they were well known anyway. You know, there's a guy called Dino, who's a bass player. He was
Dino Palladino? No,
that's Peter. You're thinking of Dino Palladino.
John Mayer's bass player.
No, but basically there's this band and they're a pretty big name in Birmingham, but they all knew my uncle, so when they met me, they were like, you know him. But he never gigged my uncle. He was just really well respected.
He was just great, yeah.
The thing is, right, lyrically, and this is such a this is a very dangerous comment to make in a world full of musicians. My Uncle Sean is probably one of the greatest songwriters I've ever heard in my life. Probably got some of the best lyrics I've ever heard. No, because he's not the kind of guy that would go, here, I'll have some recordings. He wouldn't show it.
Is there a way you can get that to me?
I'd love to, mate. I'd love to share some of the lyrics that I've heard, but I couldn't recount. It's such a... He's an
That's
enigma.
heartbreaking if people... Because you say that,
he's an enigma.
and I go, I want to hear that.
I was watching a programme and a woman in that said, many geniuses lock themselves away in their basements. You know, and it made me think of him.
Yeah.
You know, and now I want to be kind of like... I mean, I share a name with him for a start, and I'm also a songwriter.
Does that drive you?
It kind of, in a way, because I feel like I don't want to be... Like, let me tell you, man, like, God forbid the day passes away, because he's only 50, he's only just coming to the 50, but God forbid when he passes away, the first thing that I'll do is I'm going to go and preserve that stuff. Yeah. I'm going to get that stuff.
Do you think he has got recordings?
Yeah, no, he has got recordings that he's done himself, and they're genius. I mean, this guy's a genius, but it's an enigma. Tragic, really. It is sad.
Mate, the thing is, I have these thoughts myself, right, and it's... Because everything that happens to me on a day-to-day basis, I then turn into a song. Like, I'll purposely make myself sensitive to turn something from a conversation into art.
Yeah.
The amount of times I constantly reflect in my bedroom going, like, I'm not built to work in, like, a capitalist world. Like, I'm not built to do a 9 to 5, I'm not built to do this, I'm not built to be successful in anything else. But, like, my sole purpose is hopefully to write music. Ideally, people like that music so I can make my living from that. But if my living isn't that, I'd rather just not really exist.
I've said this. I said I either do music or I die. Now the more and more you
say that all the time.
Now the more and more you talk, the more and more I realise that you're really similar to me.
It's like Step Brothers. It's like we
just
become best friends.
Think of all the activities. I love that line.
But again, by talking about this stuff, though, like the reason we wanted to start this podcast because I knew you was great. But you probably have the same thoughts and conversations that me and him have on Northway Park, like, about this stuff going like, we better fucking make it, otherwise we're fucked. Yeah. Like, we've got nothing going for us other than the fact that we write songs.
All we can do. Fuck it, and then we're fucked.
Man, but hearing you say that, like, I don't care about the bands that are getting 1 million streams or 30,000 streams, but absolutely. They release one song every year.
You want to be sustainable. I care about the fact that you've
got 30 fucking tracks, if you release them, if the right people find them, you'll be known as a great songwriter.
You want to be...
Same way I put myself in that pedestal.
Like, you want to be... there's a song, actually, I don't know if you did it, that you've done, actually, and there's just a piano in it.
Fixated.
It's fucking great, that is. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful piece of music, that is. I thought, this shit's on Lewis Capaldi, in my opinion.
Bro, I wrote this is fucking better than someone like you, man.
Well, this was my... I heard that and I thought, well, this is just what Lewis Capaldi does, but better. And I think he's a very good human being. As soon as I saw him in interviews and that, I was like, I'd get on with him.
Yeah. I'd have a beer with him.
But his music does my head in.
Yeah.
Honestly. But that song's great. I can't remember where I heard it, but I heard it and I was
I think you've probably been through Instagram or
but that was fucking great, you know, and I listened to it, and I listened to it a few times, actually. I'll probably listen to it again.
Cheers to the 3 streams,
What's bad is we've technically really got 3 conflicting personalities.
Yeah.
As in, again, one of your main things is drink, isn't it?
But
we don't drink. We're
I mean, I drink beer.
No, but I mean,
as of late.
No, but look, he's been through 4 glasses of that already. Like,
he's nearly done half a bottle.
Well, I mean, have you ever sat and looked at? Have you ever? I mean, I'm not trying to diagnose you now, but have you ever thought to yourself that you might have ADHD?
I contemplate the fact I might be bipolar.
Yeah.
So I think I suffer with depression. Again, never go to the doctor with anything.
Yeah.
I think I have them spells. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to die. Don't want to live. Like,
Because you've
so
made.
That's me.
But from my experience in life, I only get on with complete utter nutters, right? And I only connect with them at the best. But this is the thing, mate. Like, I get a certain vibe off people when I can recognise my own character traits.
But
And
Louis said this. So like, Louis, who was my drummer, he like the thing is like he could message me on like the Wednesday, and I'd be like, "We're gonna change the world. We're gonna do this.
Yeah.
We're gonna get this album out. We're gonna be
and then
fucking
it
incredible."
dies.
By Thursday, he
Change
messaged me
it.
going, "What's happening?" I go, "Oh, I think I'm gonna go solo. I don't want to do the band anymore." Like, and he's like, "You're fucking bipolar." I'm there going, "I'm not," but the more I think about it, the more I self-diagnose, and the more like again, I won't go to.
Doesn't
the
matter
doctor,
if man, if you're self-diagnosed, right? Let's just say like what I want you to do, right? Because to be honest with you, you got this right, like almost like me. You've made me feel so comfortable with your personality.
Thank you.
In that I can see a similarity.
Yeah.
It's an art thing, you know what I mean? Like you're the gentle artist. He's this kind of same as me. Almost.
You are, but that is
So similar.
But he sees that when we just did my album here,
Yeah.
and he probably saw like 8 different personalities in me over the course of 2 hours. 3
Yeah,
hours.
I can be a bit nasty when it comes to creating music.
Yeah.
You know, like I can be a bit.
That's kind of what I'm like there.
I can be a
Yeah,
bit.
he gets like.
No, I can
he
be.
turns around to me and goes, "That song's fucking
Like
shit."
my mate,
It's not
like
there
Mike
quite.
was saying, I don't like my vocals on that, and I'm like, well, you either do them again or I'll take them off and do them myself. And I was, you know, like I know it's nasty, but I go through those motions as well. But if you were to self-diagnose yourself, don't worry about it. What you need to do is just figure out how you cope with it and how to recognise it. You have to, you know what you need to do. You need to not just write songs. You need to write a word that, how you're feeling on that
But
day.
I do.
Look
So
back.
you know when you're on about your journal,
Then whatever you're fucking doing at the moment, you're doing it right.
whatever you're on about your journal, like mate, God forbid anyone ever reads, see my lyric book.
Yeah,
like,
I'd be frightened.
They're the darkest possible thoughts anyone could ever have.
If someone was to touch my journal, I'd go
Yeah.
bang.
Mate, genuinely like.
Put it down, you fucker!
I'd punch my Labrador through it. You know, but like, we talked about this on the last podcast. So the one with Jack Cattell, he talked about what he goes through, and it was the first time I felt comfortable enough to like give part of my story.
Yeah.
And I feel even more comfortable with you talking about it now because you shared so much. Is like, I trust 2 or 3 friends that are, like, if I'm having a meltdown,
Same.
like Ryan's one of them, my mate Abby's another one, and then there's maybe 2 or 3 others I might trust with something. My thoughts come out about 12:30 at night after half a bottle of whiskey.
But that's when the song's written.
Notepad, fountain pen,
Yeah.
and like we'll probably talk about favourite lyrics, and I'll show you one of the songs because
It took pride in a fountain pen. Yeah, man.
yeah, my
Yeah, man. Have you got a feather pen yet?
You two are gonna get.
You can get one with
married,
you can get one on.
yeah, mate, I'm fucking his new missus. We're gonna live in that box, bro. We're gonna be great.
Yeah, man. Like feather pens are the nicest that you can use. You can get ones that are like pseudo feather pseudo fountain pens. They're the nicest pens, man.
Okay.
Okay.
But yeah,
carry
so
on, sorry.
but that's my therapy. Like, I'll survive through the daytime to get to 8 o'clock to crack a whiskey. By 12 o'clock, I'm then putting everything onto paper. And again, if you were to take my lyrics out of context of the songs, you go, fuck me, they're horrifically dark.
Yeah.
I'll try and make them pretty enough that it never, to the naked eye, which is someone that doesn't listen to music, will go, oh, that's pretty. Yeah, but
I've
if you
got
think
a
about
lot-
the lyrics and the meaning
I
behind it,
hide a lot of them, and to be honest with you, a lot of my lyrics come out of complete stream of consciousness. You know, like
you can tell by the speed you are. I imagine that
yeah.
when you write, you're playing an acoustic guitar, you're literally just spitting lyrics. You might have just taken your ADHD tablets.
You kind of
You're a bit kind of rattly.
You
and
kind
go
of
into it,
right, like a little melody will come, and it will always be like that. I get the melody in my head first, and I'll be like, "There's this one that's pissing me off at the moment." It goes, "What's coming up? Da 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 da." Da 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 ba 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 da 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 ba ba da 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 da. Now I haven't written it yet,
Yeah.
but I know when I write it and when I can use it, because I believe that no idea is truly disposable.
Yeah.
There's something good in everything that you do, so you have to pull it out.
Yeah,
She's got it all figured out. For example, that she's been a walking with the sun in her face. Well, that comes from a song which was a verse, and I couldn't write a chorus to. But then one day I wrote the first bit of "She's Got It All Figured Out" and went, "Oh, I'll just take that."
Yeah.
I call it cheating, but it's not
No,
really
it's not.
cheating. It's just
Still your idea.
you know, you take all these ideas because and they never leave me. If I write a riff and it never leaves me, it's going to be used, whether it's 10 years or 20 years down the line.
My memory's that shit that I'm constantly having to record stuff because I know that I'll have an idea.
I do it on my phone all the time.
Day later, it's gone.
I write.
Unless I've got it.
I write usually like very rarely do I write lyrics first, but I wrote lyrics first for a song called "It Doesn't Matter," which I did with Mark. I've only got a demo of it, and I've got like a really rough live version of it, but we ran out of time, so it's
I
not going to
imagine
be on
you
the
sent
next.
me that demo. I think you did because you ran the top of the studio.
Did, but there's like, I mean, it's just it. Sometimes Mark comes up with really good music, and I've written to it and rearranged it.
Like,
you know, he is very talented. He's got no right to be.
He can play anything as well.
You know, well, no, he's a piano player and a bass player. You know, but he can play
I've seen him
guitar.
sat on
He
the drums,
plays guitar as well. Yeah, he's had a go on the drums.
That's what I mean. Yeah, but he does it to a standard. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah, well yeah, of course. He's very just.
He's
gifted, I'd say. You know, like I said, no right really, but he's fucking great.
You know, your lyrics. A lot of the songs that I've kind of been sent, they get portrayed as a love song. Are they almost metaphors for either drugs or relationships with like family and stuff as well?
This is the problem, man, because like it's all changed now. So the idea that people have of me, because Insight into A to B isn't out yet, and because I haven't released this
But
second
it was in
one,
HMV.
it was
and
for
you
a
didn't
bit.
say
Yeah,
me
yeah.
copy, you bastard. I went, I can't get to HMV. Can I have a CD? And
You've said it, but I don't know if I brought them with me. But I was supposed to bring 2 to give to you, but. If not,
you break my heart. But we're dropping you back off so you can get me on.
Yeah, sound man. Yeah, that's great. So things are different, you know. Like the way I write songs are different. Sometimes they're not supposed to be interpreted in any way because I don't know how I wrote them. You know, I don't have a method really, but I do have an understanding of how my songwriting style works. If I wanted to write "She's Got It Figured Out" Part 2, I could 100% because I know exactly what I'm doing. You know, I know exactly how it works. I'm doing this in the verses, and then it's a pre-chorus, and then it's a chorus, and then at somewhere along the line there's a bridge.
I think the sign of a good musician, and I'm kind of flexing my own balls here when I say it, but I'm meaning it towards you, is like...
You can flex your balls.
Yeah, if you send them.
No,
but like...
Have you ever had them fly into your body? When I discovered that they could actually go right up into you, like, that's it, game changer for me.
I don't know, I think I'm heartbroken enough that one got into Adam's apple once, but I think the thing with songwriters as well, and I'm probably imagining so, you know when you just showed us that version of She's Got It Figured Out, we heard the original version. When I write a song, I know that there's 4 or 5 different ways, production-wise, that you can go.
Yeah.
You then made that call on the spot, and you decide that it goes down this route.
Yeah.
You have it with your stuff.
I didn't.
You have it with your
I didn't
stuff.
choose for She's Got It All Figured Out to sound the way it did, the original.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that I was doing an acoustic session one day with someone that I worked with, just for his uni project. And I did a song called "I'm Not Happy," which ended up on my first EP, and that's going to end up on this album as well. But I didn't want to do She's Got It All Figured Out, but I thought I'll just do it quick because I not long demoed it. And what actually came out of that sounded like shit to me, but he put it together and it sounded great.
Yeah.
So to me, it kind of sounded very false all the time, and you know, it's not really a representation of what the song was, which is why I've done that.
When you know when you're talking about fixated though, for me, I heard that about 4 or 5 different ways.
Have you got the one riff yet that you still haven't finished? There's one song that I've got that I'm never ever gonna finish. I'm always.
I had that until about 6 months ago. I had the chorus of "Moving Stars," which is basically "Yellow" by Coldplay. I hate Coldplay, so do I. But there you go, fuck me, this song as good as "Yellow." Never had a verse. I've played it live without the verses.
Yeah.
So I've done these shit ass crap.
Mine
verses.
didn't have a chorus, and
about 6 months ago, we'll play it. This rock I'll show you "Moving Stars." Mate, wrote the verses, ended up writing 5 of the bastards. And like that song, but like, so when to go back to Fixate, it was like there's an name, like this album's coming out, there still might be a full band version of it, so I'll try to change where like it might be like a half-time Catfish in the bottom, anything like pack.
I feel that way about songs as well, like
but that's the constant struggle as well. It's like, but because I wrote it from such a vulnerable place, I didn't want to ramp it up because I've been in a band for 2 years. I always have to ramp stuff
There's
up.
3 songs. There's 3 songs that are going to be on this next album that are just completely acoustic. That might not have wanted to have done acoustic, but I don't give a shit. I'm just going to do it anyway. Only because I wrote them in the last week, and they're fucking good. Yeah, they are good songs. I just wanted them out. One thing I will ask: can we take one more break?
Yeah, I need a wee, man.
I need
a wee. Back for part 3.
Right, we're back with part 3. This is definitely going to be the longest podcast we've done, but it's definitely worth it.
I'm tired.
Yeah, it's because it's
long.
What you don't realise is we've been here since 2 o'clock. It is now, what, 7?
Yeah.
7? No, it's later than that.
It turns on. It turns out, not turns on. That'd be a bit confusing.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, a
shit.
little bit like that story I told you earlier.
We've had a great time.
It turns out that we've been here since 2. It's probably been 5 or 6 hours. In this time, Mark has been drunk
Yeah.
and sobered up.
Yeah.
And we've shared some very good stories together, and it's been very interesting.
Some that we can't air on the podcast. Sean.
From Mark.
And from me. Involves choking.
What did Cinderella do when she got to the pool?
You're evil, man. Right, let's go.
We'll cut that.
I can't
Keep
even
it
remember
here.
where we were up to. It's been that many
We were up to the
hours.
part where it like trauma me and I got better.
So you got better? No, but I think we'll move on to the music side.
Yeah,
we
we'll
touched
talk about-
on it, didn't
I
we?
want to
did
know
touch
about
on
your
it.
guitar journey though, because you're such an accomplished guitar
Yeah, you
player.
said this earlier, yeah.
Like, where do them chords come from? Because they're magic.
A lot of it, some of it I learnt at college, so a lot of the immersions.
Sorry.
Wait!
I'd left my amp on, I could hear it buzzing.
So a lot of it I learnt at college, I suppose. But not like to the degree that you should,
Yeah,
really. Because all I did was smoke a hell of a lot in the underpass. You know, like back at uni, you remember where we
Yeah,
used to
where
go.
the...
So it's the same building.
I seem
basically.
famous for that.
It's on the canal.
So I used to just go and get smashed up and then sit down and then they'd be talking at me and I'd be like... So really I just kind of took some of it in and then the chords, I mean, they're accidental really. It's just like, I want to sound good. I need to sit here for 10 hours and make sure it sounds good. And that's what happened. That's how I developed my own style. Like the feel didn't come... That comes with age a lot of the time, feel. Like the way you hit your notes, the way you play them, the way you bend
Do you know the
them.
chords you're playing then?
I know
Do
what
you
I'm
know the
playing.
names?
I know when I'm playing to a point, so I know when I'm playing like an E9 or I know when I'm playing a ninth. I know when I'm playing a 6. I know when I'm playing a sus chord.
Yeah.
You know, suspended. You know, I know all of that because obviously you get that in chord books and stuff. But as far as knowing it immediately on the spot, no, not really. And you know, I know the half diminished chord and that, but I wouldn't have known that until very recently.
But you can sit and
Yeah.
pick it out afterwards.
Yeah, I could tell you what a diminished chord is when I hear it. I'd
Yeah.
go, that's a diminished chord, or you could play an augmented chord, and I'd be like, that's augmented. But I couldn't then go on the guitar and go, I'm gonna play D augmented,
Yeah.
flatten, whatever number, fifth or whatever.
47th.
You know what I mean? I don't bother with that. It's just that's a nice chord, isn't it? And it works with this and that because as long as you know the circle of fifths, essentially, you kind of know what chords.
Do you often find that you write in progressions that you can't with, or do you try and push the envelope?
I always try and push the envelope, but I know that what my style is, you know, and I try and stay to that, you know. Like there are things that you know, I'm trying to get the most out of what I've got before I move on to doing different.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot of experimental kind of stuff, and a lot of it's not the kind of stuff that I'd release. Number one, because I'm just not confident in it, really. And number two, it's just getting your foot in, you know. Like so.
If there's stuff to me that's different, I'd want you to release it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with
As
you.
an artist, I want you to have that.
I've got plans for a 3rd record and a 4th record. They're planned out. They are
Before the first out.
before the first's out properly.
It's
Yeah,
mad,
it's
that is.
out on Friday.
Yeah,
by the
oh
way.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is because
Friday we release it, it's going to be...
Yeah, but the issue is I've said episode 5.
We don't mind, we're going back.
No, but yeah, just for anyone, I said episode 5, but it's actually not. It's episode 3.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can just put that in a text. As you
Sorry
say,
to
five,
Alex and
3.
Jack.
Yeah, Alex and
Yeah.
Jackie will come, but we thought we'd like
Because of how long it is.
Yeah.
Because
I wasn't very informative about that.
tell the people the name of the album. And
It's called An Insight into A to B, and it's out on Friday everywhere.
Friday the 23rd. that is,
Friday the
isn't it?
23rd of April.
But it has, in theory, been out for a while, hasn't it? So you had it in...
There was a limited
Wolves
release.
HMV.
Yeah, I had it in a HMV.
You got the CDs that you were apparently
Yeah.
supposed to give us today, but you haven't brought them.
I'll give
'Cause he
him.
hates
I'll
us.
be giving him.
Because
to
he
you.
hates us.
But yeah, I wanted to get it online for a while, but
Mm.
I mean,
What songs are on it then? Breathing In?
no, that's on my first EP. You can get that
Okay.
on.
Yeah,
That's on Spotify. But it's got I've got Soul, Medusa, The Bird,
That was a great track. That was. He's just shown us this, and
yeah, we've done a bit of a song trade-off. So we played each other tracks.
I've also someone made a video of the bird for me, and they haven't sent it to me yet, and I keep badgering him for it, and he's just gone incognito. And I'm like, come on, man, we used your flat, and you know, the bird. There's a best piece of poetry's on there. Nothing. There's loads of songs on there, to be honest. There's
still stand by the tracks.
There's 10 songs.
They were done.
Yeah, they're great. They're great. They're some of the best of them. I do have a least favourite, but I wouldn't be selling the record very well if I went into it. You know.
Tell us off air then.
You know, like I mean, I do. Obviously, you always have a least favourite, and a lot of the time it's in hindsight. Yeah. But I love the album. I think it's one of the
hindsight into aim.
Yeah, in hindsight, it's a D to F.
Are you looking forward to seeing the reaction for it and stuff?
I'm looking forward to seeing what people say. I mean, like the thing is, I put music out and people are just like, "Oh, great," and and that's it, you know. Yeah. But
we spoke about this.
I think I'll push it a bit and see what people think. I mean, because I don't know what people think. To be honest,
we spoke about the fact that like you've got over 1,000 likes on Facebook. The algorithm's not kind to you at the moment.
No, not really.
So
no.
you can post a lot, and 20 people might see it. The 1,000 that you've built over years.
I've tried, like I've really tried, but. I think it's just eventually something will.
You got to stand by that.
Because the thing is, this first record is out in April. I mean, I've got to address the audience. You know, if they get to this point, if the beginning wasn't too harrowing,
to this point
if it wasn't too demonic, with the demon story and that. But no, the thing about this album is, it's like Mark said. In theory, it's been out for a very long time. But just not online, because I wanted to bring some value back to the solid copy, and it kind of worked.
But I still couldn't get a copy.
But to be honest, it kept me obscure, and that's about to change, because not only is this album coming out now in April, I've got a second one coming out in July.
And hopefully people, especially Birmingham, can go, fuck me, he writes songs, and he writes a lot of them, and they're good.
Yeah. Well, that's
hopefully it puts you in that light, doesn't it?
Well, that's the plan, really. Because if the reaction to both records are good enough for me to get some half decent gigs, which I'm assuming it will, then hopefully I can amass enough to want to do a third and a fourth, and I do want to do a third and a fourth. One's going to be a third and a fourth. One will be a folk album, and one will be an electronic album.
Would you ever quit?
Absolutely not.
Thank God.
Genuinely, as in like if you were like
35, no job.
No.
Would you pack it in to go and work anywhere
else?
Good.
Absolutely not. I mean,
you've had a few people who were in kind of limbo with it, haven't we?
We've had a few people in transition going, maybe in a couple of years' time I might look at something else.
I've been in limbo with it, and I like that. I like that destruction. I like that chaos. I like the pain it brings. I mean, that sounds so insane, but I like the agony that
you're doing it for
I've told myself that I'm doing it. I'm compelled to do a thing. And why the fuck should I not do it?
Yeah. If your time was up tomorrow, do you feel like you've done everything you can to build a name, or do you feel like there's been times you've slept on it?
Not really, because I'm lazy about it. Like, I'm very lazy when it comes to being online and that.
But I don't think you can be a great artist and still function and do the other stuff either.
Yeah, I know you can't. No way. And you do lose a bit of that as well. Like, I've done jobs and you do not write songs for 6 months and.
Of course.
Nah, man, I can't do that again. I'm not doing that again. Not to be let down and be treated like shit. Because I told you earlier about when I worked in a restaurant. Yeah. Now, one day there's a piano player that's quite well known. He was in there playing. And I went over and I said, "Do you know Moondance by Van Morrison?" This was on shift, so I was like, "Play it," and I sang and everyone clapped. And then one of my managers was about a year older than me, Shannon. Oh. Shannon, her name was. She comes up and she's like, "I pay you to work, not sing."
Wow.
You know what I mean? And that's there's like some.
Not even for that brief moment, it can't be appreciated.
Thing is, there's a similar story to Amy Winehouse, and she was in a hotel. And it was someone like Daddy Di was in the hotel at the same time. It wasn't Daddy Di, but it was someone of that vein. And
Shane Ritchie.
And but like basically Amy Winehouse, she'd just done Frank before Back to Black, and she's in this hotel room and she's turned around to the piano player that said doing this like really like boutique sort of like restaurant and gone, "Do you know this like jazz standard or whatever it is?" And she started playing, and there is not, you couldn't hear a pin drop. Like, it was that dead silent. Everyone's there going, "Fuck me, this is brilliant." Whoever this minor celebrity was at the time was gone. I'm in like the air of like a genius right now. Manager comes over. You're not allowed to sing with the piano player. Can you go and find your seat?
That's mental.
That's the Amy Winehouse. Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
but you know, you talk about that as like a dent on you, but if people that are wearing suits don't even appreciate Amy Winehouse, they won't appreciate you. Nor they'll appreciate anyone. They won't appreciate anyone.
Similar things have happened. I was at this event in Wolverhampton, and I was only there because
What place?
I can't remember at all. I have no idea.
Best place in the world, mate.
But I love it down there. To be honest, I love the people. I love
We're great.
the
We
musicians.
really are fantastic.
It's a great laugh, you know. Honestly, it really is. You know, there's a lot of humour there. But I was in this bar. Bear in mind, I'm decent now, but you know.
Duggan
so
Dublin?
that's huh?
Was it Duggan Dublin?
Might have been, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only
So I
place
might
that do
not.
musicians.
I might not have been like.
Oxhead does.
I was only there just to because someone invited me and I went to see their show because I was in Wolverhampton, so I was like, okay, pop in, there's music, and there's this one guy outside and he had his acoustic and that, and I was trying to chat to him and he was undermining me, you know, like really undermining me.
Didn't
and
think you was an artist.
Didn't think I was an artist, and I was chatting to him about guitars and that, and he was like, well, you know, when you're as good as me, this guy, he said, when you were as good as me, you know. I was like, as good as you? Like, what do you mean? He's like, well, it honestly, along the lines of like, he was kind of like an I'm the best kind of character, and he could play. Don't get me wrong, but he wasn't.
Me?
He wasn't as good as you. He was nowhere near as good as you, and he was nowhere near as good as me. So I just said, can I have a little go? He's like, yeah, okay, just be careful. And I did, you know, those licks that I do, the ones where I blatantly know what I'm doing, and I'm like, yeah. And he was just kind of shat his knickers, kind of. And that can happen as well. Like, you can find that some people can undermine you until you prove your worth to them.
Remember that when we did that gig in...
We've probably done that to people as well, you know.
Yeah.
we were probably guilty of that, but like that happened when you come and told us to shut up at that open mic, didn't it?
Yeah.
And we got like into a very heated argument with the owner. It was like ridiculous. Like, he's there pissing himself. Will's on drums.
I'm there going, I've got a full beer. If we get kicked out, man, like, I didn't pay for that beer, but I want to drink it. Like,
Of course you do.
I'm just one man.
Did you end up paying for the beers?
No, Brandon did.
Oh, did you?
I didn't pay for fuck all that night.
No, but that was...
That's what being a musician is, free booze.
Yeah, mate.
But
You don't play for the gig, do you? Because you don't get paid.
But people...
Well, I do, but you know.
Alright, don't play.
Yeah, but I have to play things
He
that
has
I
to
don't
play
want
the
to play.
corporate stuff,
I have to play like, you know, like...
Do you do the covers then?
Yeah, I have to do things like, you know, I try and make them as good as I can to me. They're my versions of them. So, did you see me do like the song from Matilda? Did you see that video? You know, the
Oh, yeah.
I've got a version of that. Yeah, I've got a version of that, and I think it's really good. But I hate the song, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I do Jack Johnson, and you know, maybe I do mostly soul songs, but I do for a few Bruno Mars ones, and believe me, I don't want to do them.
Yeah,
You know.
I get that.
You know.
They're doing Locked Out of Heaven.
But you have to do them. You have to do.
Do we do the takeaway questions then?
We haven't done the favourite lyric, have we?
No, we haven't.
We haven't done the favourite lyric.
What is a favourite lyric that you stand by that you've wrote that you think is genuinely the best thing you've written?
I mean, it's got to be this song. It doesn't matter. I mean, there's every lyric in the song probably.
We were sat outside and he was like reading lyrics out.
And they were blowing our minds.
Yeah, and they were poetic. Like, you can speak them. Like, some people's lyrics you can't speak. Like,
I said a good
Roses
lyric.
are red, violets blue. My balls are blue. No thanks to you.
So I'd say, I mean, it's a hard one, man. But I think, you know, say goodbye to all your friends. These days show signs of a bitter end. I could care less for dividends. In this world submerged, it's evident. Paint concrete floors the blood of man. Memo goes out and their loved one's cold. So you bow and serve your leader so bold. What a hero saving lives, let's applaud. Thou shalt not question, or thou shalt be appalled. Your clothes are torn, your love forlorn, you stand scarred, but it doesn't matter what you think anymore. These words go out to those at war. Have you ever stopped to think what you're fighting for? To Buddha, Krishna, God and man, condemned to bathe this holy land. I see a world in pain enveloped, run by these fools that have somehow triumphed. I watch in anguish fading fates, the pure of heart, the welcomed at the pearly gates. We fight this fire, hand in hand, and it's hand in hand, together we will stand. It doesn't matter what you think anymore, it doesn't matter what you believed anyway. The national front they have displayed brings me to shame and my dismay. I've seen the games the media play, they think the youth became afraid. We hold more power than you think, this oppressive hold is at its brink.
How poetic is that?
And it's an anti-government. It was basically about like how can society go from going we hate Boris Johnson to we now love you for no reason just because everybody said let's do it.
Welcome to the Socialist Podcast.
The Socialist Show.
No, but again, as you can see from that, the lyrics are poetic. Yeah. We spoke about it, so would you ever go and sit in a poet's corner?
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to, but it's a scary game, man.
Would you write poetry specifically for that? Or would
no, but he'd hold his own with his lyrics.
That's what I'm saying. Would you take?
I have got poetry. I had a plan. Alongside writing an actual book, I had a plan for a poetry collection, which was supposed to be... I found out later on that some band, I can't remember what band it was, did an album that was supposed to represent every day of the week, and I wanted to do it with a book based with poetry. And the idea was like Sunday is the beginning, and so it was poetry is about the inception of life and creation, and then it goes on and on and on, and death being obviously the last day of the week. And it's called Cupiditas, which is a Latin term for the root of all greed. The root of all evil is greed. So
these Tories.
these
you
bastards.
blow my mind, Sean.
Are you looking forward to gigging again?
I am looking forward to gigging again. like especially proper gigs, because I haven't done proper. I've got the gig on 2nd of July at the O2 Academy 3. Guess when I last played the O2 Academy 3? 2014.
Jesus Christ.
It's been seven and a half years, pretty much.
He's supporting.
Don't know.
Don't care.
Don't know. I just know that I'm there.
Have you heard about?
Yeah.
Have you heard about the first mass gig back? 5,000 people in Liverpool. Guess who's headlining? Blossoms.
Fuck off.
Out of everyone, Blossoms.
But there'll be something like that. That'll be like a pub quiz question.
But I love Blossoms, so I'm not too arsed. But
they're the keeper.
It's gonna be sick because there's gonna be 5,000 people there with no masks.
Yeah.
It's going to be a proper gig.
When?
July, I think. They're doing it as the tester.
They got to do COVID test before they get into the venue.
The day before.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They've got to have a COVID test the day before.
So I am looking forward to gigging. I want to get out there a bit more now.
Yeah.
I feel like it gives me a different kind of fire now. Doing this today, it's kind of been good. It kind of reaffirms like that people that I'm not immediately close to all the time, because I haven't seen you guys in ages. It's been too long,
3 years. Yeah.
But I feel like we need to do a lot more.
Yeah.
And I feel like as a result, it's made me go.
Watching you play, like we might try and film a version of one of your songs before you leave. Like we've just witnessed that in the room with you while we've shared songs. Like, and we sat there going, "Fucking hell, that's brilliant!" Like
we have, yeah.
I try and
I'd like you to play the bird.
Yeah, like that one.
We'll get you to record the bird before you go, and we'll post that as either like a teaser for the podcast, or an after podcast thing. Or...
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Is that alright?
Cool. Yeah, I'll do the bird.
The bird's on the album, so it's
it's
it's out at the end of it anyway.
It's out when this is out.
It's track 3, so
That's sound.
But I mean, there's loads I want to do, man. Like I don't care about making records. That's all. I've already got the names of like all the records, like an insight into A to B. You might berate me for this, but the insight into A to B, the kind of title, like the reason the title is kind of like that is almost like a 1975 kind of thing. Now you might hate
them, that.
But I saw them live. I did.
Where?
And it was great at the last year
in Birmingham.
Yeah.
Yeah, mate, I was there.
Yeah, were you?
How weird's that?
Yeah,
How weird.
He was there going, "Oh, I brought a ticket."
Right in the back.
They bought me one. Did you?
I saw Did you see Biaba Doobie? And she was like, "I'm on my period."
Yeah, mate. Yeah. I didn't really know who she was because she was like she's like an acoustic. Was she on her own or was she with the band?
No, she was with the band.
She's the opener.
Yeah. There was her and No Rome, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And what's the song that she's done now? Don't stay.
No,
it's not her, is it?
That's
the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
She's quite good. She's actually quite good.
But I saw 1975. It was great. It was a great show,
Did you see the bit when they went into the wall and stuff?
Yeah. It's mad because we were right at the back. I mean, I would have liked to have been closer. It was we went with my little sister and my missus, because she loves them. And I was well impressed,
Did you go as a fan, or was you a fan?
I was a fan afterwards. I was a fan kind of leading up to it because I really like the songs. I think the songs.
What songs?
I really like. Well, the third album's great. What's it? I can't remember what it's called.
An insight into online relationships.
Yeah, well,
Being on
This
stage,
is
the one
what
from
I
that
meant, yeah.
album that I take.
So that's a great song, you know, but mine was probably, I liked some of their more electronic stuff
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it was just so great, you know, it's like pop music that you should hate but you don't,
Yeah.
and you go, I should hate this but I
Yeah,
don't,
Yeah.
like, you know, and I like things like Girls. I love that track
Yeah.
because it's obviously like he's heard girls just want to have fun,
Yeah,
and he's
yeah,
written
yeah,
that riff.
yeah.
You can tell
Yeah, of course.
that that's what it is,
Same
you know.
riff, yeah.
It is essentially the same riff, but I like the city, and the first record's great. That first record's really great.
Yeah, it's
The first and the third are the best, you know. Like,
See, I Love Me off the second album.
it's a great song. Like the whole album's great.
There isn't a bad.
You know.
I mean, there is some shit. But
I
Yeah,
was
but you-
I was disappointed with the last album because I knew it was like an offshoot of the third, you know. So no, it's
Wait,
I
like,
haven't actually ever listened to it.
How many albums have they got then?
I got 4 now.
They've got the 1975. They've got.
I like watching you sleep.
Yeah,
Whatever.
something like that.
They're coming
yeah.
on your
The
face.
Sean Duggan album.
And then.
A brief inquiry of
Brief
Well,
inquiry
you
into
see.
online relationships.
So I kind of
An
took that.
insight,
Yeah.
And then what's the fourth then?
It notes on a conditional form.
Shit, there we
Yeah.
go. Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's the one that's got like.
It's got like I can't remember when you met because she didn't have a
They
top
just said like
on.
you.
Yeah, well, you know, I like some of the songs, but it's almost like a B-sides collection. That's how
Yeah,
it sounds.
Actually, album 3, I know which one you're on about.
Yeah.
The one with like Sincerity is Scary on and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's
That's
the third
three?
one. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what
that's the
I'm on
third
about.
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
That's the best record
Yeah,
they've got.
yeah.
100%.
Which one are you moaning about then?
I don't know 4.
Oh, have you not heard it? It's
No.
got some great tracks on it.
It does have some great tracks on it.
Tonight.
It's not as strong though. You know what? If you're too shy.
Yeah.
You know, I learnt the lyrics before I went to the concert.
Did you?
And it wasn't even out yet. Yeah.
No one.
Yeah, because I kept listening to it and I was like, this is gonna be big. This one,
That's,
you know,
And it
because I saw
wasn't.
the live and it
It
wasn't
was,
as,
it was massive.
it wasn't as big as I wanted it to be, but I
It
knew
wasn't
it was
as big as
gonna
like
be
Chocolate when they put that out.
It should have,
in the
but
first
it should have been.
Okay.
But I realised it sounds almost like Dancing on the Ceiling,
Yeah, it does a little bit actually.
you know. So I commented on their video with the lyrics from Dancing on the Ceiling. No one replied to it, so you know.
We'll wrap up with these. We did like quick fire questions, but they're not quick fire.
Yeah.
I think there's 4 of them. That
We
changes.
kind
every
of just
time
make
we
them
do the
more. We kind of go, that should be a quick fire question.
podcast. Yeah. So. Fucking hell, what are the questions?
I'll ask because he's drunk. He's very drunk.
There's your cut.
I'm
There's
not
your
that
cut.
drunk. I'm
Mate, you're
passable.
pretty drunk.
I'm passable.
Because your eyes.
I think,
I'm passable.
I think he's doing alright.
Yeah, as a host. Hostess with the most.
Yeah, but
I'm passable.
okay, look at the first half and then look at this.
Yeah, it's been a deterioration.
Listen to deterioration.
I had to take that word in like 5 different stages then. Like,
Is there?
I was struggling to say juxtaposition yesterday. See, I really tried my hardest.
jumped
Juxtaposition. Irish wristwatch. Say that quick.
the fuck that.
Oh, wristwatch. Oh,
Who's
dear.
been drinking now? You're driving me home.
Is there a specific album or record or song that has ever genuinely helped you in a downtime?
Actually, millions, man.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so
Try and
hard.
narrow it down.
Can I narrow it down to 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
give it
So
that.
the first one is Astral Weeks by Van Morrison.
You mentioned that.
Astral
already,
Weeks
didn't
is Van Morrison's second album and the first time he got to do an album with a label he wanted to be with. It's a phenomenal record from 1968. People need to hear it because it transcends songwriting. It doesn't have like formal structure. Like, this is a guy that goes in with a jazz band that they haven't met. He's just playing the chords straight away and then they just have to follow. So it almost has this kind of nature feel to it. It's just pure poetry, and nothing's been done like it since. I mean,
We have to listen to that record.
it's insane. You might not like it though. You might not.
you? Van Morrison's very
But hope-
Marmite.
I'd hope that you'd understand
Yeah,
the
yeah.
record because it's very much for songwriters. It's almost like the Bible of songwriting for me, you know. And I didn't discover it until later on when I
Yeah.
bought it for my dad for Christmas, and then I put it on. I was like, "Well, what's the big deal about Astral Weeks?" And you'll hear a lot about it. Like, you know, it's a lot of famous people's very favourite record.
Just the vinyl. Is it your vinyl you need it more?
I would love to if I could afford it, you know, and then I would. But you know, I have CDs all the time, man. Obviously now I'm always streaming just for convenience.
Yeah.
But I've still got loads of CDs. And then the second album has to be Quadrophenia.
No.
There's some St. Vincent records that I love as well, though, and I don't know if you'd know much about her, but she's like the nowadays Bowie.
Yeah.
She literally is, and she's just a genius. Like, every one of her records just hits the spot.
I keep getting her confused with Saint. There's another Saint.
Screw them.
Yeah, I can imagine. I've
Yeah.
heard
I think
very,
there was a
very
Kiss
good
guitar player
things.
that was something in St Vincent as well. So I've
Yeah.
been thinking of that every time he's mentioned it.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
heard
So,
very good things about Saint Vincent.
but yeah, she's great. I mean, she's just a genius songwriter. But Quadrophenia by The Who. I mean, because it's just the ultimate teenager record that will make you realise that you're not alone. You're not
What sort
alone.
of tracks are on it? I've got no idea.
It's supposed to be a rock opera. It tells a story, but it's a rock album, man, and
Anything I'd know?
it's hard. Not really. It doesn't have any of the big
It
hits
doesn't
on
have
it,
the hits on
but
it.
it's famous. It's very very famous record.
I'm very undereducated past the 90s. Really.
I just don't like The Who.
Do you not?
I love their great songs, but I don't think I like them as people.
Really not? No.
Yeah.
You might be confused with the rest of the band because Pete Townsend doesn't like his bandmates either.
Yeah, I'll probably.
He's a proper socialist. He is. You know, he was the single largest donator to the Labour Party out of all the
Yeah, I'm
famous
probably
people.
pro Pete Townsend, but like
Pro Townsend.
everything about like
Roger
Daughtry
Daltrey.
and everything. Like,
He's a twat.
like the fact that when they did that
I love
big
ya.
festival gig,
I like
like
him.
when the drummers
Look,
got
if you need
fucking
a support-
symbol shields, I'm there going, that's
That's
not
Ringo's-
the Who that you
that's-
should know and love.
That's
like,
no, of course it isn't because they're dead.
yeah.
But that's Ringo Starr's son. That is.
yeah.
Zach
But he's a
Starr.
great drummer.
Yeah.
But if you've got a symbol shield, you're not quite
There's-
the Who.
there's a
Because the Who were.
Because Pete Townsend's nearly deaf.
Yeah,
And
that's
they are
rock and
like
roll, mate.
they are like in the mid 70s, nearly
that's
80.
true.
That shouldn't be the reason you hate the Who.
Roger Daltrey said he's forgetting lyrics now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Said
I think he's pro
struggling.
fox hunting as well, isn't he?
He's a twat. Yeah.
That's why I think I don't
Is he
like
a
him.
massive
That's why.
Tory?
That's why Pete Townsend doesn't get along with him because he's a bit right wing.
But like, I think he likes
He'll
the full
say-
fox hunting. At that point, I was like, oh, I don't think I want to get full.
Pete Townsend doesn't get. Yeah.
You don't want to
What bat?
The Who song won't get pulled again.
That's the first one of this
We're
podcast.
killing
I
all
did, like,
the dogs.
Bro, I did like 6 of them a podcast. So that's the first one I've been able to
I
get.
know, yeah. That's only because you're drunk.
So what that was the longest quickfire question
I know,
of
You
all
got
time.
more, bro.
Go on.
Can't remember them. But
I can't remember either. What do we usually ask?
what are you wearing?
No underwear.
Dream venue.
Dream venue.
Yeah,
That's a
Dream
good one. That is probably the Albert Hall, man.
No.
Or even the Symphony Hall.
Symphony was
I'd
cool.
love it. I'd smash it in there. You watch one day.
Jamie on drums.
No, just me.
Mark on bass.
Just me, man. Just
you.
me using the acoustics of the room, probably. Just
Yeah.
me and the acoustic. I'd love that gig.
That'd be class.
That's
I
cool.
played at this place, right? Oh man, it's called I can't remember what it was called. It's called the Ruddock Arts Centre, and it's probably the biggest gig I've ever done. I supported an orchestra, and I got paid for the gig. I got paid 180 quid for the gig at this orchestra, and the room. Like, I know you're gonna have to edit this bit out, but I have to show you because it's so cool.
No,
Right.
we show the video. We'll show
Yeah.
the video to the people.
Yeah, we'll try and get it, like, because it's on my Facebook, so you'll have to just rip it straight off that, probably.
As long as we don't get copyright strikes, I don't think it's.
As long as
too
he's not scrolling through nudes to get to it, we should be okay.
bad.
Got a few of them.
Depend on eulogies.
I mean, know this bit isn't being cut out.
I don't give a shit. Look at this.
People were going to leave that they left 3 hours ago.
What I'll do is I'll get Sean or I'll screen record it, and what I'll do is I'll cut it in now.
If I can get a signal, to be
Oh,
honest.
you ain't got any internet, have you?
Nah, I don't even have Wi-Fi.
It's horrible, isn't it?
Let me cut it. Let me cut it in now in the actual video, and then we'll have a look afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because then we'll kind of get it like.
I tagged you in
That's
it.
the best way to do it. Sound.
So, right. So we're going to show you this video now.
Yeah.
Is probably orchestra. But you know I don't have much. Do I say? Getting through the cracks, I'm not afraid. But I'm breathing out the word. Illusion setbacks cross down on the world. Breathing out the word. I can feel it all, I hear about her. I'm going to show you this video now. Isn't it great?
Right, we're back. We're back. I hope you enjoyed the video.
So is that your best gigging experience?
It was one.
That was the other question.
So what's the worst? Have you ever had a gig that's that
Yeah, I do.
fucking ridiculously bad that you've gone, oh my God.
I haven't really had a gig review. I've had a gig reviewed twice. Once was when I played the Sunflower Lounge, and I got a good review. I've never really saved it either because I'm a div in that way. The first one that I ever got was when I went down to Hereford to see a friend, and I got wasted in a cocktail bar, and got up on stage. But at this show, I was just helping someone out. They asked me to come down. They were university students. I thought, yeah, fuck it, man. I'm going to a different place. Sound, go for it. And luckily, my name has slowly kind of grown a bit since then. So I wasn't really that well known. I was known as just a musician on the scene because my name is known in Birmingham. It's just not as known as.
It's just not the mainstream.
It's not in the mainstream scene. It's in the corporate scene, really. But I'd really like to rein it in, like I said. But this gig, right, I got so fucking wasted. I got so drunk that I got up on stage. I started playing. The first thing that happens is a string pops. It's my top E string. Me being so unprofessional at the time, didn't have a top one. So I just thought, I'll carry on. Right. Within about 2 tracks, every string on my guitar was broke. So I spent the whole gig chatting to people, making a fool out of myself. And I said, well, I don't need this anymore. So I grabbed the guitar and I went bang on my knee and snapped it in half. Right, so I lost a guitar.
Was that the chord one?
But that's it. No, it was another one. It was luckily I took a rubbish one because it was all I could do because I needed to pick up change in the
full P10s.
So I basically just destroyed it, and the whole audience were in bits throughout the entire night. They were in bits. The next day, I kind of walk away with shame. I'm like, oh, I've got work as well, so I had to go back to Birmingham and work a bar shift from about 10 in the morning until 10 at night. And someone sent me a review, and I went, it was reviewed, and it went, comedian Sean Duggan blew us away. I was like,
you don't want to be known as that.
So it was a good one.
Yeah,
no, they thought you were a comedian.
They thought I was a comedian, yeah.
Oh shit! I didn't realise.
That's the worst gigging experience. A guy like I know how to diffuse situations really well as well. I was playing this bar in the Cotswolds because that's where I was gigging while I was writing the A to B thing. I was gigging in the Cotswolds all the time, like sometimes like every day of the week, And it was good, man. It was. I was making a living, and I felt like it was gonna last forever, and then it just stopped.
Yeah.
But fucking.
As all of us do.
Yeah, it just happens, man. But this guy got punched through the table the one time in this fancy ass bar. He fell through the table, and I kind of stopped what I was doing. But as I stopped what I was doing, I let loose, and then I started going dung, the Mizziloud thing from Pulp Fiction,
Yeah.
And I played that riff while this fight was going on. I've had a guy push the microphone stand into my face while I was playing at the gym vault, and it's a
It's
place.
a great little boozer though in the gym vault.
It's I will have.
Love a gin in there.
I won't say anything too much. You might not get a gig there again.
He's not booked anyway. It's fine. Say what you want.
Full of fucking cunts, man. But anyway, this guy pushed the microphone into my face and let it slide, and then he did it again as he come past. And I was getting really angry at all these rowdy gin drinkers, really posh guys as well.
Tories.
And I thought, yeah, exactly, man, full of them, man. And I just...
Sean's getting paid £40 selling his soul. He's like...
Yeah, well, I only got 70 quid for this gig, which is just minuscule, really, for what it was. I played 3 hours as well, you know. So if this guy walks past one more time, he does it again. So I'm just like that, and I pushed my microphone stand right into the side of his head, and I started laying into him with the microphone and that, and fighting his friends, and it's the most angry. It's the most angry thing I've ever done in that gig. But I still got paid, and they got thrown out, you know, which was great. But I haven't been back since, you know, because I don't want to go back.
No.
Yeah.
Plus, the guy that booked me was an asshole. Fuck you.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
I don't know. In the box. In the box still.
The box.
The box is class.
I live in a box, man.
He lives like...
He generally lives in a box.
I actually...
I know, but it's...
not a cardboard, not a cardboard box.
No, but it's a nice box.
Like a hidden box with
with mate, it's secure.
Sweet, that's 8x8.
It's secure.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. It does its job. But yeah, that's probably some of the worst.
5 years though. Where do you see yourself?
Sit in the box.
Again, doing the exact same thing, man.
Musically.
Doing
Where
the
would
same
you
thing.
want to be?
Where would I want to be? Just being sustainable, man. I need to be making a living, really. I need to be paying the bills. Really.
Yeah.
Like as long as I'm paying the bills with it, like you said earlier, if paying the bills means I'm only paying 600 quid a month, and you know, and
but you wake up in the morning and you write music.
Yeah, and I have to gig, you know. It also means that I can sit around in my dressing gown and not have to stress, really.
Yeah.
Is that with records or just anything?
Oh, gigs. It's gonna have to be gigs. I mean, because you know we have to face it as musicians.
Even
now.
if
We
it's
are not
corporate gigs,
making
though?
any money, huh?
Even if it was corporate gigs?
Yeah, it has to be corporate gigs because that is where the money is. I have to do that. I don't think that I play these corporate gigs and I don't play my original stuff because I'd be lying. I don't just drop them in. I sometimes, depending on the audience, if I can win them over, I can get away and play a whole 2 hours of my own stuff.
Yeah,
because you know I'm not supposed to, but I do. And it's only if someone.
But they won't notice anyway, as long as people are drinking and clapping along.
Exactly. Sometimes I mean, there's gigs that I've not been asked to do at all, and I've just played instrumentals, especially at restaurants. You know, people don't mind. You know.
Yeah, I did that. I've just realised I did a fucking gig for the Tory party.
I
did, mate.
I hate you.
I've just thought of that. You remember I've always told you I played in that wine bar. It was for a fucking Conservative Party.
You prick.
I've only just
was it
thought
underneath
about
the Symphony Hall?
No.
By any chance?
In the tunnels. No, is it a place called La Brasserie?
Did you suck off Rishi?
What?
Did you suck off Rishi?
What are you on about?
Sooner.
Fuck off. No, but mate,
He took all the Boris Johnson that night.
I took £200 off him.
I'd love to grab him by the ears, man.
I took yeah, but mate, this was when I was a Tory, so now I've changed.
Ryan's in it going, please give me a gig, guys. I'll write everything for you.
We don't like Tories.
No, but neither do I. Now I've seen the lies. But I got paid £200, so technically I guess I took £200
what, were you just
off
forced?
the Tories.
Were you just forced?
I needed the money, to be fair.
Were you just forced to vote for them? Is this what?
No, my parents are very pro-Tory. Yeah, my mum and stepdad.
Sean, we don't like his parents either.
No. No, I'm sure they're good people.
They are.
We can't judge the people on their political values, really, because.
But it helps.
It helps you kind of know. But,
but they are pretty big Tories. So, but I saw the light. Can we just discuss that for any leftists who are coming for me right now?
My dad.
Yeah, your dad literally just should.
Sean's
Wait, no. Remember when your dad found out that I was a Tory?
He didn't like you.
He hated me.
I think he still does.
My dad would be the same.
Yeah, but again, I can actually see it now.
Yeah.
It was genuinely down to your education and Lucy's education.
You probably just didn't know.
No,
you didn't know who you were.
I was brought around.
Neither does 70% of the fucking population, apparently.
No, but
But Boris is doing a good job.
Doing brilliant, isn't he?
Right. Any final plugs?
Hang on, wait.
Wait.
Are you happy?
Am I happy? Well, funnily enough, on the second album, I got a song called "I'm Not Happy," but I am. I am. I'm okay.
Day to day, compared to say 3 years ago, 4 years ago, are you happy?
Yeah, I would.
He's content the bit.
I'm content. Yeah.
Still a battle.
It's still a battle. It has to. Yeah, absolutely, still a battle because I'm not. I'm still on it. For now, it feels like a stagnant period because I feel like obviously the lockdown's really fucked us, man. really fucked us. What was going on? Like, how do you progress? Like, I was taking a bit of a break. That break lasted a bit long as it was. So when the pandemic came along and forced me to do a longer break, that's why I'm really trying to push it, man.
We want you happy.
Like, I'm really trying to push it online.
Yeah,
so
like,
it does.
We want you happy.
Just I appreciate that. But
We're rooting for that as well.
There's a little gut in when I'm like, oh, did you see that by any chance online? And you haven't yet, and it's like, fucking hell, these algorithms.
That's
Been
genuinely
fighting-
algorithm.
I've been fighting these algorithms.
Everything you post. I'll share the occasional thing, and I still don't get your posts.
Yeah. I don't know what to do, man.
Tory Facebook, bro.
Yeah. Shall I just share Boris? I love you, Boris post.
Yeah, you
man.
might. To be fair.
Yeah. Clap for him. Slit his throat.
Any takeaway note that you want to say before we leave you?
Yeah, like any plugs.
Is there not even the plugs? There's other plugs later, but like, is there anything that you've learned along the way on your path, which has been a fucking incredible path, that we're lucky that you've shared with us? Is there anything that you can really just bit of advice, a nugget, penny free thoughts?
Keep doing what it is that you love, even if you have to suffer for it, because if you're compelled to do something and it starts dragging you down into the ground, it's not any greater force telling you not to do it. It's just a part of the game that you have to play. There's two evils, man. There's too many evils in the world, and you have to overcome that. If you have to sacrifice to get there, then you've got to do it. But I will say, and this is quoting a Jack Kerouac line, when you reach the top of a mountain, keep climbing. So, yeah.
That's good.
I think it's safe to say, we'll take all your socials below in the description.
Yeah.
It's safe to say you're the most articulate guest we've had, probably the most articulate guest we'll ever have.
It's just been a
your story's compelling. We're honoured that you've given us that story.
It's good.
And I genuinely feel over the course of, I mean, it's been 7 hours for us, but it's probably been 3 hours for them.
We're at 2 hours 45.
I think it's safe to say that I couldn't have asked for a better guest.
I think that's a number 3, you know, mate.
No, it's like
It starts at 1.
It starts at 1.
Oh, yeah, I get ya.
But we genuinely couldn't have had a better guest.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you.
we really appreciate it.
Genuinely, I mean, I only met you once and spoke to you a lot online. You sort of consider a good mate now.
Oh yeah, I feel like we haven't done enough. I really don't feel like we see each other enough.
No, we will do more.
Yeah.
But I'm proud that you're going to see the story, and I'm
Yes, Sam, man.
I
What are
love
you
your
doing
story.
next weekend? What do you want to do?
I'm not that easy. But you got to buy me a drink first.
Right,
I get a crate.
we'll wrap it up, mate. Thank you very,
Yeah, man.
very much for
It's been a
coming.
pleasure.
Friday the 23rd, an Insight into
Mind you.
A&B out on Spotify.
Good boys.
Make sure that. Yeah, mate. Look at
Looks
that.
like a midlife.
And I've been holding my fist.
I'm
up
sorry,
for
bro. Sorry. Yeah, Insight into A&B, Friday the 23rd. I'm guessing from midnight.
What the fuck knows?
It'll be from midnight.
Yeah, from midnight.
So just check it on Friday and make sure you listen to it. Make sure you listen. Is the bird on this album?
Yeah. The
Make sure you listen to the bird. We're going to put a clip of the bird in now. Like, comment, subscribe, all that bollocks.
Hi, my name is. Hi, my name is Sean Duggan, and this is the bird. Do you feel free? Free as a bird. Like the ghost transcends through the wall. You'll find yourself on all fours crawling. Cause you got something on your mind and it's begging to be free. There's a promenade up ahead, yeah, it's calling on me. Cause sometimes words can fill your head. Line after line till they bring tears. So don't go rattling in your bed. Keep your eyes on the girls you better hear. So follow me, all wide eyes that once seemed whole. Live for now and you'll never ever go. If you live for now, you always rain on. And therefore at sunrise you need love at the crack of dawn. Come vibe with me. We'll sing a song. Music Calm melodies, steadfast and strong. Let us wonder where we ever went wrong. Cause you got something in your heart, so it's bound to be real. Take the words from this song, maybe that'll help you heal. Cause sometimes words can fill your head, line after line till they bring tears. So don't go rattling your bed, keep your eyes on the goals you fed ahead. So follow me while eyes that once seemed whole. Live for now and you'll never ever go. If you take this hand, you always ran on. Before sunrise, you'll make peace with the crack of dawn. Free as a bird, free as a bird, free as a bird, free as a bird. Yeah, man.